Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody is doing famously on this wonderful Saturday. For anybody who might be curious, I was traveling. I think I made mention of this last weekend. I was traveling this week for business purposes, and business purposes involve events. Events involve things that happen at events, right? So in this particular case, loud music, lots of talking, lots of people, lots of food, not a lot of things that I personally am partial to myself. I understand that there are people out there who like, big loud concerts and eating all the decadent foods that are out there, and conversating with tons and tons of random people. Some they know, some they don't. Some are introductions of the in-between, right? So that's not really my scene. Those aren't things that I enjoy. And so I'm very happy to be back in my little area, in my little retro room, talking with the people that I know about things that I care about, like video games, like the state of video games, like opinions on thought-provoking topics. And I'm really happy to be back and to not be running 90 miles an hour doing that stuff anymore. One second, I'm going to adjust something. I'll be right back. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn the music right back up for maybe 2 minutes. Just make some adjustments. I don't want to hear all the clinking and clanking, so. There we go. Some adjustments made. Not too bad. So yeah, as I was saying, very big fan of being back in my area where I can talk with people, I can talk about things that I care about, I can talk about that with people that I enjoy conversating with or conversing with. And I don't mind traveling. I mean, I've traveled for a while, but we also didn't go anywhere that I thought was particularly all that fun, just because it's not very far from where I am. So I say that land-wise, it's quite far from where I am, but otherwise, it's just like, not really. Usually before I get started, I think I'm going to say the same thing that I normally say, because it hasn't waned at all. And I haven't done it a couple of times because I usually get into good and big conversation with people in here, which I think is great. But I recognize that not everything that I'm going to be playing here or doing is going to be for everybody. Not every game I'm going to play is going to interest everybody in the same way. I mean, if I'm playing hyper-retro games, let's call them, or retro games in general, there are people from the newer generations that may not be so inclined because of graphics or because of the clunkiness of the control scheme, watching me try to navigate that and so on and so forth. And I understand that. And likewise, people who are incredibly retro-orientated may not be such big fans of some of the repetitions that come in today's package, right? First-person shooter's a first-person shooter, and third-person action is pretty well third-person action. And so, back in the retro games, you kind of had more innovation because you didn't have the ability to rely on good graphics. You had to kind of go with something that was going to make you stand out beyond the graphics. And nowadays you can rely too heavily on graphics to the point of where you don't actually make that good of a game just because it looks really pretty. And there are a couple examples of this occurring. I think Forspoken is probably one of the more key examples. I personally believe The Last of Us 2 falls in that category for me. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. He disagrees. He believes The Last of Us 2... I'm not going to say he believes The Last of Us 2 to be his one of his favorites. It is one of his favorite games. But we vehemently disagree with each other on it. He believes it's, it's the... you can't trust people and things people turn on each other and so on and so forth. I disagree with that. I think that you can have that kind of a story, but you also can revere some of the characters a little bit more and not try and glorify certain characters, and just, you want to make it gritty, you want to make it realistic, so you have to stay consistent, which I don't personally think Naughty Dog did a great job of balancing in The Last of Us 2, though I do think The Last of Us 1's fantastic. But anyway, I digress. What I was going to say is that if I am not your speed, or the game I'm playing in this particular instance is not your speed, fear not. Firstly, I play games of all types. After I finish this game, which will be probably this episode and one more, then I will be moving back to A Hat in Time, the DLC, which has been really popular. And then, of course, once I finish the DLC, I will be playing... I think I'll put some games up for a vote that I feel particularly in the mood for. However, there are a ton of great alternatives that I highly recommend in my stead, or in the stead of, in my stead, I would say, in the event that I'm playing something that isn't your speed. Down below, we do have a couple of channels that I've linked in there. We have Omega Ace Gaming. Omega Ace has popped in here. It said hi to us, seen us, had conversations with us, and he is playing... He plays all kinds of... I would say he plays pretty well all manner of games. He does take recommendations, though I think his backlog is pretty... I could be wrong. I think his backlog is pretty vast right now, so it may be very difficult for him to get through all of the games that are recommended to him. I think he's still working on Q. He's a Castlevania expert, and he has begun playing Lament of Innocence. If you've not played Lament of Innocence, it is a PlayStation 2 title, 3D adventure title. He had just finished Chakan prior to that. Excuse me. And so he is, again, he's now playing the Lament of Innocence, which is chronologically, I believe, the first one. So if you decide you want to go over there and give him some love, he's hit I think it's 1,300 or some odd subscribers. He's doing really well on that, and that's for good reason. His stuff is incredibly fun to watch. He's engaging, has fun, and he, again, when it comes to Castlevania, just knows a ton. So watching his long form as well as watching the short form Belmont Hold are high recommendations of mine. He's linked down below, of course. We also have Thumbros. Thumbros streams, I have both his Twitch, I believe I do. Have both of his accounts, his Twitch and his YouTube, and he does mostly he does races and let's play, let's practice, that type of stuff. The latest one that he had done on YouTube was River City Ransom, unless there has been one since then, but checking them out and seeing what he's doing. Obviously, as things get to the holidays, these guys are probably going to slow down a little bit in that, as probably am I, to spend the holidays with family and friends. This is including next weekend, where this is the week of Thanksgiving, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday I will be with different members of my family celebrating Thanksgiving. But it's worth checking out some of the backlog that they have, because they do also have a fairly expansive backlog. Then we have Viddy Plays and Viddy's Gaming Videos. Two different, same guy, but two different series, or two different channels. The first channel that I mentioned, the Viddy Plays channel, is him playing along with friends or playing by himself. Different various games. He's played everything from Silent Hill to Eco to Mario Party to Resident Evil 5, which was fun. They're all really fun to watch, and I think I heavily recommend it. If you're less inclined for just kind of guerrilla style gameplay, you're more interested in watching something that's kind of been put together with a little bit more, let's call it TLC, then you might want to give you may want to give his channel, Viddy's Gaming Videos, a watch. He does live reactions to things that he enjoys, games that he enjoys, game trailers and highlights, and YouTube series and such. And I believe he's got a charity stream coming up where he will be donating to Doctors Without Borders or Médecins Sans Frontières, depending on what your preferred way to say it is. So I think it would be worth giving that a watch as well. Okay, last but not least, we have not last but not least. We'll say certainly not least, but not quite last. I have one more before. We have Ash. Sorry, I got a message just there. Boop. We got Ash. Ash's channel is forthcoming, so he's given us some information that it probably will be a different channel when it finally comes out. As soon as I have that information, I will link it. But Ash originally made commentaries and reviews, comedy commentaries over top of them. A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun stuff, and he kind of just did what he felt like, which is one of the things that I really enjoy, and I'll go off into a tangent about that here in a second. But he just kind of did what he liked, and it was fun, and it was funny to watch, and it felt like it wasn't manufactured because of that. And so I'm going to recommend just giving that a watch, because whenever things go live, I'm sure he'll have more information to follow in the format of his channel. Of course, I'll have the new one linked, etc. Last but not least is my beautiful wife, the Siren Ivy. She's on Twitch. She's currently on Twitch, and she is playing, I believe, the Batman Telltale games the Batman Telltale games. I believe she's playing on Steam. So if you are more interested in story-based, newer games, etc., and perhaps being a part of the choice and decision-making on that side of things, you might want to give her a view right now. She's going out there and playing that. I guess what I was going to say was that in terms of the tangent with Ash's channel, which I think is really, really good, and this is something I've been talking about on my channel for quite some time as well. Turn that down a little bit so it's got a slightly better balance. One of the things that I was talking about, and I've been talking about on the channel, one of the reasons that I liked the Ash channel as well, and I recommend taking a look at it, is because originally he had done a lot of these kind of commentaries. He would do comedy commentaries and kind of reviews. And I made a specific mention, which is a very important thing to me, that it didn't feel manufactured, because it felt like that he was doing the games that interested him. And I think that that's kind of something that I want to embody here, as well as to try and put out there into the YouTube space for, I'm not going to say a different mindset, but a mindset that seems to appeal differently, to me differently than the current mindset seems to be. And this is a matter of interpretation. I could be interpreting it incorrectly. But can't buy me off, lads. Well, we'll see the price first. Ash, I hope your ears weren't burning. I was just talking about you. I was actually using your content, the previous content you made, as a segue into something that I value very much and had very much wanted to kind of put out there, let's say in a gaseous form, so that it might permeate the minds of common YouTube thought processes. I don't know how exactly I would want to say that, but welcome in nonetheless. It's always a pleasure to see you and to get to talk with you. I was saying I was so glad I'm not traveling anymore. The job that I do requires events. My girlfriend retro needs she noticed before you did. That's telling of circumstance. That's funny. Yeah, I was saying, firstly, this didn't have anything. I was saying I'm happy to be here, getting to talk again, just getting to talk in general with people that I enjoy getting to talk back and forth with on topics that I get to enjoy. The job that I do required that I was away for work, but the work was also to be in attendance of certain events. And when I say events, I'm not going to spoil what all my job is and what they do. That doesn't matter. But I have to be at these, depending on the circumstance and the time of day, I have to be at these events that have loud music and popular people, right? There's the band in this particular case was Outkast, right? Or the artists were Outkast. And so I'm at this event, I'm doing work, and then at the end of the event, I'm at the event part of it, and it's loud music, it's alcohol, it's decadent food, it's a lot of people talking and mingling, and none of that is for me. None of that I don't like that stuff. I don't eat like normal people, so decadent foods don't tempt me. My ears are remarkably sensitive, so loud music doesn't entice me. My desire to talk and make petty small talk and to condescend to somebody by assuming that they want to talk about something as trivial as the weather or where they've been 5 seconds ago and how they're enjoying, none of that. Those trivialities bore me. So all of those types of things were the part of my job. Now I've traveled back, and I'm just happy. Sounds like me. We just want to stay home, watch. Exactly. I'm a homebody. Doesn't mean I'm lazy, right? I do a lot of work. I actually enjoy working. I very much enjoy working, and I enjoy my work. I enjoy working out for myself. I enjoy working for my job, which is also for myself, but at the same time, I do get paid. Those types of things. But at the same time, I'm not interested in a lot of things that other people are interested in, namely the loud music, the entertaining, the mingling, all that stuff. And the building was so... luckily, I was outside on the balcony for a bit, but the building was so absolutely just sullied with loud music. I had to put earbuds in to try and dampen it, but you could feel it uncomfortably. Like, there was so much set up in there that the music was shaking the very core physically. Not I'm setting a stage, but it was just physically shaking me. And I'm not a small man. I'm not a man that's easy to move. So this is, it's just I'm so glad to be back. I know that for the thousands of people that were there, besides myself, I'm sure they enjoyed it, and I'm happy, and I'm glad that they enjoyed it. It's just not for me. Duke Paul, sounds like my work. Very nice. Yeah, I'm going to make the wager that my job and your job are not quite the same, but maybe we've crossed paths in the celebration arena. But I wouldn't know. By the way, welcome in, Duke Paul. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that type of. You do event work, so we may have crossed paths in that, but no, I don't do event work. I do work for a company that is works in a very specific category, and to give some hint, for the majority of my work at the Toyota Center. Okay, yeah. So I do a lot of travel. I work for a company, and that company works very closely with other companies in the same area, as well as the state governments and federal government. But events happen to be let's call it a casualty of war in my business. So that's I keep it ambiguous enough, right? But at the same time, but I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad to be here talking, just enjoying. Yes, I'll be playing a game. Yes, I'll be doing all that fun stuff, but I'm just good. It's just good to be here, to set, to relax, to breathe, to talk. And but I'd made mention of your channel, Ash, and this is what I was saying, and this is where I want to pivot for just a moment to something that I don't feel like a lot of people I will come to me and say, of course, it's there, you just can't see it, or it's difficult to see, or maybe that's correct. But I'm more inclined to believe that while it probably exists, it doesn't exist in nearly the amount it needs to. I do appreciate the shout-outs, man, considering I'm very absent. That's all right. Just because you're absent right now doesn't diminish the amount or the quality of what you've put out before. It doesn't diminish the importance of what you may put out forward. So that doesn't matter. That's your absence is a non-issue. But one of the things that I was saying specifically is of the content that you had prior, the older content, you did what to me seemed like what you enjoyed doing. It was just, you wanted to put a video out on a game that you were really passionate about. At that time, it was Kena, and you had the comedy video. It would have been fun to see, it would be fun, not would have been, it would be fun to see you have a video perhaps on Astro, because you've been super singing its praises. I think that's really, really nice. But it felt like you were doing what you enjoyed, and you weren't really adhering to anybody's metric, and that goes in a plethora of different ways, right? You weren't adhering to anybody's timetable, you weren't adhering to anybody's content or script or anything. Yeah, it's my plan of the future. I won't make a video unless I'm interested in it. It will. I look forward to seeing that. That was just an educated guess. Of course, I could be wrong. No obligation, but I feel like that's where we need to go with content creation. If we're going to create content, I don't want to say be content creators. That's to me, as a pretentious title. But if we're going to create something, in my case, it's not content, it's a space, right? It's a space to talk. It's a space to play what we want to play, and it's a space to get into polite and proper debates, and it's a place to agree, and it's a place to disagree, and all of those things with civility. But if we're going to create, it should never be something that is strictly algorithmically relevant. We should always have an interest in it. We should always be passionate in it, because it works the same way as reading a book. There are books out there that I really enjoy, and I'm sure for most people there are several books that you and I might have in common that would be considered classics. But then there are also books out there that I might mention as a classic that some people will simply say, I did not enjoy. Grapes of Wrath, maybe. Lord of the Flies, maybe. Right? Something, The Good Earth, maybe. And what happens is the people that don't enjoy that book don't absorb that book, even if they go through the motions of reading that book and they see the words in their mind or hear them in some cases, and they make it from page 1 to page end. The book, the meaning, the story, the characters, none of it was able to penetrate the shell of dispassion. And yes, you read the book, but no, you didn't understand the book. You didn't care for the book. You didn't need to. That's just the nature of preference, right? And that's kind of where I feel like we are with this content. People that are creating this content, they don't care about this content. Most of them don't care. It's an algorithmic train ride to fame. It's a numbers game. And I feel like that's something that we need to stop doing. Everybody uses the same format. You brought this to my attention, Ash. Everybody uses the same format. It's always somebody sitting at a desk in a gamer chair with a lit background, and in front of them is a microphone arm and microphone, almost always the same microphone, right? Shure SM7B. And they're talking about current events. They're reading off of a script that they've made that is really just a script somebody else made that they've added their own twists to. And the script that they pulled it from was a script made from other scripts made prior. The original script probably 5 or 6 instances prior to their own reading of it. What we're doing here, what I'm talking about here, is something I'm passionate about. There is no script. And I don't hear people talking about this very often. And I don't use a Shure SM7B either. I use a Neumann. My goal is just to enjoy making videos with as few edits as possible. I just want to hit record and talk. Of course, there will be some edits, but I want it to be like a natural conversation. I think that's perfect. I think that's a beautiful way to do it. I started to do that a long time ago, 2017. Going back to The Witcher 3, which I am still playing, because it is a very long game, and I didn't get to play really anything this last week. I was playing The Witcher 3 for my second or third time, and I was at the part where there's no spoiler here. You get to make it to Ard Skellig. That's not a spoiler. If you know about the game, then you already knew that, and if you don't know about the game, you don't care or know what Ard Skellig is anyway, or Skellige. So it's like, eh. But anyway, I was there, and I was at a part where I'm running against a character. I'm not going to spoil anything any further, but you're running, following a character around, and that's kind of what I was doing. I was just like, let's do this. And I didn't put it out because of how just ridiculously long this ended up being. It was just so unbearably long. But I like the idea of just doing what I'm doing right now, except for this was before I was streaming. You know, I wasn't streaming in 2017. I didn't start streaming until 2020, I think. I started making the channel in like 2016, but I started streaming in 4 years later. Some of my favorite channels happen to be retrospective, long-form analysis style channels with tons of editing. Really long, well-crafted, edited videos. I love watching that, not making it. It's a lot of dedication to make long-form content. What a lot of people, and I understand that. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize until they try it is, as long as the video is, the creation process is infinitely longer. Just to make a good example of that is I have 3 little minute and a bit long things on my channel called Squitchy Bits. They're basically shorts. And I took little pieces that I thought were kind of silly and I put them up there. Well, for every one of those 1 minute to 1 minute and 15 second videos, it took at least 20 plus minutes of editing, right? I've got to edit everything down to a single minute, and I have to try to get as many jokes, and I have to make sure the flow is good, and I have to put in, thought bubbles or speech bubbles or whatever I feel like is going to help kind of suit the moment. And yeah, so if you're making an 8-hour long video, then that's probably taken months. But that's where I am as well. I mean, like, I like to talk about... And the thing about retrospective and long-form analysis is it's not just about dissecting the game, but it's also about reimagining or recapturing where you are, I think. Reimagining or recapturing where you were when you played that game. If I give you a retrospective as to Castlevania, the first Castlevania for the NES, I'm not just tapping on the game, which is complicated considering a game from 1987 had to be pretty simple, but it's much more well crafted. But at the same time, I'm also kind of trying to recapture the nostalgia of the first time I ever decided to play that. Part of me wishes I had the patience for it, but I think I'm at my best when I'm unscripted and just talking. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, right now, you and I are speaking organically. Like, I don't have a script here or any bullet points or anything that's telling me, hey, this is what you should probably say, or if this comes up. We're talking organically, and I think that there's a charm to that. And I think that charm is a byproduct of the fact that it is a rarer thing to occur. Like, I don't think people are having organic conversations anymore. I don't think people... I've watched a couple of channels, and I'm not fans of these channels. I just kind of go through and I take a look. I want to see what people are doing. Not because I'm interested in emulating it, but because I'm wanting to make sure that the opinions that I have formed are well informed. And there are a couple of things that I've noticed about it. Firstly is, most of the people that talk to their chat are pretty kind of rude in a lot of cases. You know, they're willing to flat out say, oh, no, you're stupid, and this and that and the other. And I'm not saying that you can't have something objectively stupid said and that you can't commentate on that, but at the same time, I don't know that really accomplishes anything when you're the only point of authority in that, right? I would feel very, unless it was something that I could demonstrate as false. I still wouldn't call you stupid, but I would demonstrate it and dismantle it as false with fact. But like that, they're crass. There's no elegance anymore, and no eloquence to the speech. Yes, that was the second thing. There's a lot of entitlement. There are a lot of people who, because they have a great viewership, a great following of people, feel like that they can just say what they please. And sure, you should be able to say what you please, but not because of the position that you find yourself in, because what you've said should be well informed enough that it is generally uncontested, or if it is contested, you can, again, elegantly contest it. Another thing is that a lot of people don't try to kind of sit down and have a conversation with a lot of people. It's, you know, and I get it. When you get to a certain threshold, it's very difficult to keep up with the comments, and I respect that. But at the same time, when you've just got tons and tons of people just running through comments going, yep, nope, I agree, taking a sip of coffee, and then, I don't know, I just feel like that's disingenuous. I'd rather pick a topic and then see the comments flow, and then see the consensus perhaps, and then maybe speak to everybody, the different consensuses, or consensus, I guess that would be appropriate. But anyway, I think that's more dynamic and more genuine. I've said this for the longest time. I would rather have a smaller community of genuine people who enjoy what you do, rather than millions who use you as a quick source for news or quick laughs. Well, and you have said that for a long time, and full credit there. But the other thing about it is, what is the level of quality that you can provide somebody as quick news or quick laughs? Like, what? Okay, I can respect the utility in a quick laugh. I can respect that. But let's, like, for news, why are you coming to me? It's the gaming community. Go out, buy a game, rent a game. Renting games is not dead. There are still ways to do it. Rent a game. Play the demo on Xbox or PlayStation. There are demos of several of the games. Try it out. What did you think? Unfettered by any other person, by any other opinion, what did you think of that game? Did you have a fun enough time with the demo that you feel like it's necessary or desirable to go out and pick up the game? Then do it. Play the game through. Did you enjoy it? Yes. Go back if you want to now look at the reviews. You've already had your experience. Everybody else is saying you shouldn't enjoy this game. Well, guess what? You did enjoy the game. So guess what? You have a different perspective that you can share with people, and it should not change one moment, one iota of your fun just because everybody else didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of what I've seen of Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I've tried not to look at everything. I do feel like that I have informed it, because I've looked at what I have available to me, and I don't have a demo available to me, at least not the one that I've seen. So I do feel like I'm going to wait for it to go on a promotion. But if I make, let's say I get it and I play it and I'm like, all right, look, there are parts that are annoying, but I actually really like this game. You're going to hear me say exactly that. there's a place for the second format, absolutely, but you couldn't pay me to do it myself. Yeah, that's fair. And again, I can see a quick laugh being utility in it, but for quick sources for news are always biased. News is always biased. That's the thing. You're not going to find any news that is not biased in one direction or another, my own included. Like, what I say is going to be biased on my experience. I'm going to enjoy things and push them out there as I enjoyed them. The difference is I'm not going to try and push myself as to be completely objective. If I'm telling you you have to get this, then I'm not telling you that you objectively are bad if you don't. I'm telling you I enjoyed it enough for that. And a lot of places, I think, especially in gaming news, have decided to assert that they are the authority, and if you don't pick this up, you're the one there's something wrong with. Or if you do pick this up, that you're the one that there's something wrong with. And that's silly. IGN are a great example. Oh, what timing, Ash? IGN are a great example. They're huge. So many people aren't actually fans of them. They're just a very convenient source for a quick update and do so many things, on so many things. And the thing about it is IGN isn't, again, they're not the gods of gaming, right? Whoever they have playing their games is going to have preferences just like the rest of us. They're going to have motivations just like the rest of us. And they may let those motivations and those preferences trickle into the review of the game, and it's not going to be objective. So anything that you hear from anybody, including myself, needs to be taken with a grain of salt, a pinch of salt. And you need to realize that you should always, if given opportunity, do your own investigative research, so to speak. Go pick up a pre-owned copy, look at the return policy from the game stores, which I think is mostly like 7 days or 30 days, depending. Play the game for a little while. If you can't get into it, go return that game. Go trade it for something else. Get your money back. It's not impossible. We're not stuck with things anymore. Like, you don't have to just, oh, well, I can't rent the game. That's fine. Go purchase a pre-owned copy of it and then return it if you don't like it. There's no guilt and shame in doing that. That's what the return policies are for. Reviews are awful. Reviews are awful. So many of them are the exact same. The same scoring system, the same line delivery, the same voice speech, the same writing and dialogue. It's terrible. Well, let me give an example of this, because I think you're right. Let me give an example of something that happened in the political spectrum. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with this. I am saying that this is unusual, but I'm not opining on the individual that I'm about to mention. One of the things that was brought to my attention whenever we were talking about, this is previous to our presidential election, our vice presidential candidates were Tim Walz and a gentleman named J.D. Vance. Both of these gentlemen were our candidates for vice presidents. And they had a debate, a vice presidential debate, wherein, beyond anything else, I will say they were very cordial and polite to each other. And I think that was a very commendable example that the both men set for everyone after over a decade of just what I would consider to be popularity contests and yelling. When that was done, the word slick, specifically that word, became the go-to descriptor for J.D. Vance. Now again, I'm not opining on J.D. Vance at this point. I'm strictly saying that every outlet, every person that spoke on him, and every outlet that opposed or was inclined against his position used this word as if it were distributed or disseminated by a single source to everybody. And what it told me is, whatever motivated these people to use this language was a single, central, unnecessary blight. It disincentivized critical thinking and speaking independently on what they believed and that they had observed. It was always this specific word just pushed out there. Veilguard is a great example. Dozens and dozens of reviews are using since a return to form, word for word identical. They all write the same, lazy. But what is a return to form? And that's the thing. What does a return to form mean? For somebody who is a Dragon Age fan, who's played Origins, I bought Origins on launch day. Okay, I have the Origins Collector's Edition. I have the Origins Awakening bundle. I have the Awakening separate. I have the Origins Collector's Edition strategy guide. I am a fan of Dragon Age. I enjoy especially Origins, although I did think Inquisition was good. 2 was okay. I'm a huge fan of them. What would you tell me, as someone who has been a fan of them since 2009, any of you who have written a return to form, I encourage you to tell me what that means objectively. What is a return to form? What things did they get away from? Because Inquisition, as I understand it, as I remember it, was pretty well received. I enjoyed it. I think a lot of other people enjoyed it. It was not the exact same as Origins, but I don't believe that anybody believed it was a deviation from core, tenets. So I challenge anyone who uses that phrase as their review, big or small. What did they leave? What form did they leave? Where did they lose themselves? And what did they do in the Veilguard to recapture that? What is that return to form? That is my challenge to anyone who used that to describe or to write a review about that game. Where did they lose themselves? I'm not sure. I don't remember them having lost themselves. As far as I remember, Inquisition was pretty darn well received, and I thought it was pretty fun too. So I think J.D. Vance will be the president in the next decade. I don't know if he will be the president. Well, he'll probably hit it at one point in time. I don't know. It'll depend on. It'll depend. I think it'll depend. I think a lot on what happens during this presidency. I think that's going to be a big indicator. If these next 4 years go well, then I almost can guarantee he's going to run. I don't know if he will get it or not, just depending. We generally will see flip-flops back and forth between Republican and Democratic candidates. Usually it's 2 terms at a time, so it's very possible, if this one goes well, that Vance could capture the presidency for the following 4 years. If it goes poorly by most people's estimation, then it would have to be a strong Democratic candidate who would take it away from him. I don't know if Harris would be prepared by that time to try to take it over, but she would have to go through the appropriate channels and have to be elected as nominated as the nominees of the Democratic Party, which is something that didn't get to happen this time, due to what I would consider to be escalated circumstance. But from what I've seen of him in podcasts, he seems so normal. Yeah, he seems like, obviously, this is one of my things that I'll say, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're from, whether it's a Republican or Democratic, whether it be extremes on either side or the completely neutral center. If I have very, very rarely, and I can very seldom name any politician on any side of that spectrum, on any part of that spectrum, that I believe to be exactly who they show themselves to be. I have a general distrust of politicians because I feel like that we've incentivized dishonesty more recently, and that has gotten people a lot of power. And I think so. I think it's better. I think the dominant strategy in this case, is to act as if you're down home middle class, just like normal Joe, but maybe not actually be. He does speak well, though. I'll give him that. He definitely speaks very, very well. He's very dynamic in his speech. He's able to appropriately pivot the conversation in directions that he needs to, and I've seen that done both in good and bad ways. I've seen him, pivot away from what I believe would have been a direct answer to a question, an unfavorable question, but I've also seen him pivot a near question into the question that probably should have been asked while still addressing what was stated. So we'll see what happens. As far as politics go, I'm not... I said what I said before. I'm just glad for it all to be over. I didn't really care who got it this time, and now that it's happened, I don't care anymore. I'm just glad that it's over and that people are less at each other's throats for the next 4 years. 2016 was very, very much like this. 2024 now has been like this. We'll see what happens until 2028. I should run for Prime Minister. Tuesday will officially be Time Splitters Tuesdays from 4 to 6. Every UK resident will have to play Time Splitters. That's a good game. That'd be fun. If I could have... Honestly, I know obviously I wouldn't want government mandate to be it, but if I could have a moment like every... if I could have a block of time every day that I'm just... Oh, you get to play games today. A really good game. That'd be awesome. J.D. Vance was another good example of how fried social media is. All I heard about him was that he was how big of a freak he was. Then I watch him and I don't see that whatsoever. There are a lot of things I think that get. There are a lot of things I think that people. The thing about it is, when we talk about, and this is exacerbatory in the political spectrum and the religious spectrum predominantly, right? But there are other fields where it is. We need vermin supreme. Yeah. So there's always going to be this. We've done this for a long time. This is not a new tactic, but the tactic is basically, if somebody disagrees with you, that instead of making your argument stronger, you need to discredit their argument. And that's evolved over time to be, instead of taking a fact and discrediting their argument with citation, that's become discrediting the entire person. And this usually is done, I would say, in a gateway form of ad hominem attack. For anybody who's unfamiliar with debate, ad hominem is simply a Latin phrase, but it refers to a greater tactic of not attacking the argument, disregarding the argument, foregoing and attacking the individual, so as to make the individual seem less credible, and actually not address. It's kind of the not address. To not address the argument itself is what I'm trying to say. But ad hominem means to the man. So that's what the actual phrase means, is to the man. So it's like, I'm not going to attack the argument, I'm going to attack the man, ad hominem. You can also, by the way, you can attack a person while attacking the argument, but I wouldn't recommend it because it just makes you look silly, in my opinion. There's a debater that's out here, not local debater, but he's a United States debater. Andrew, what is his name? Wilson, I think. And he's actually a decent debater. I mean, he makes some good points. I don't agree with all of his debates, and I don't feel like he's sound enough in his judgment on some of those debates. Or, sorry, not his judgment. His judgment's fine. Sound enough in his position. It may make sense for him, but I don't think that he can state it as an objective fact. I don't think he has nearly enough grounds to do that in some of the arguments he's made. And but he has a tendency to do that and then to insult people. Destiny does the same thing. He'll talk to you and he'll talk to your argument, and he does decent on that, but he'll also insult you. That doesn't. You can do that. It does. I don't care. Like, if I'm going to debate with you, my interest is in trying to get to closer to the truth. I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to lose. But the minute you start calling me names is the minute that I start discrediting that you are actually coming from a place of logic, and start believing that you're probably more emotionally driven or willing to try to mold facts to meet your figure, so to speak. Recently, I found out the WWE wrestler Kane was involved in politics and is now the mayor of Tennessee, or was, I think. See, that's pretty cool. Wrestlers and bodybuilders being politicians is not it has happened quite a bit. We had Jesse Ventura for Minnesota at one point. Obviously, we had Arnold Schwarzenegger he was the governor of California. So Jesse Ventura, governor of Minnesota, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, governor of California. So we have we've got some really versatile people. Ironically, Arnold Schwarzenegger being an Austrian individual, he cannot run for presidency, not according to our rules, but he can be a governor, which was kind of cool. Could also just fly over the table and actually attack the person. You could do that, and I highly recommend not doing that. You never know what the other person might possess. But that's the thing, and that kind of actually almost happened too. I think in one of the Andrew Wilson debates, he was debating a guy, and in this case I'll give him credit. He was debating a guy that was basically just yelling at him and was calling him stupid and calling him awful, and was basically telling him to take it to the parking lot. Excuse me. And I think Wilson had said something about that he was armed, and so don't do that. Debate with people, disagree with people, but don't get so emotional that you have to start insulting the person, because if you do have to get that emotional, then to me, this is me, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not saying facts aren't facts, and I'm not saying you can't be emotional and still present facts, but if you're more emotional than you are logical in the debate, I am more willing to believe that you will shape facts to fit what you believe them to mean versus what they objectively meant. And I won't take you I won't take those facts as gospel any longer, because I'll look at that and go, well, I maybe need to read that, because I can see where you might get that, but you clearly are emotional. You have an emotional investment. I need to take a look and make sure you haven't accidentally skewed that to fit the emotional. I can't stand Destiny. I've seen him do some debates where I sat there and was like, yeah, no, I get this. He makes sense. He did a good job on it. I don't always agree with him across the board, but then he has a tendency to start yelling and rambling and going off, and it's just like, I don't... He's done some that I think are great, and he's done some that I'm just like, I have no idea what you were attempting to accomplish in this, but I don't think you did it well. Donald Trump is also in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's true. That is true. He's gotten involved in a lot of stuff. Donald Trump was also got a little bit of a paycheck for being kind of a poster child for Domino's for a time. I think it was Domino's. It was either Domino's or Pizza Hut, but I'm fairly certain it was Domino's. He was kind of the quintessential, which I don't think he was, obviously. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, but he was supposed to be like the quintessential New Yorker, so he was supposed to be a definitive authority on good pizza and how you eat pizza and this and that and the other. And yeah, you know what? He might be. I don't know. I'm not a pizza connoisseur, so maybe Donald Trump knows more about pizza than I do. I wonder who Trump mains in Street Fighter. I bet you he's got his own version where he plays as himself. That's what I bet. But Guile, it's got to be. It's got to be, right? I mean, if he's supposed to be bleeding American, then you got to believe it's Guile, right? That's the. I mean, it could be Ken, I guess, but Guile's the going to quote unquote quintessential Americans. Guile's kind of the poster child for that. He's got the big American flag tattoo on his deltoid. He's in military fatigues. He's got the exaggerated but supposed to be military flat top. That means Putin means Zangief? Probably. I mean, why not? Are you ready for World War III? I don't think World War III is going to happen now. I'm ready for it if it does, sure, but I don't think it will. Some encouraging news. I'll give it out there. And again, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think it will. Originally, there were a couple of news articles. And again, here I go giving news, but please take, again, what I say with a grain of salt, because it's only my interpretation. I was seeing that originally it was Putin said he could not condone a Trump presidency, and there was apparently a spokesperson from the Kremlin which was saying that they wanted Harris because she would have been easier to control because of her relative inexperience with this and that and the other. I don't know how true all of that is, right? And I don't know how well linked it is to Putin. Oops, I bumped it. But what I have heard thus far is that Zelensky has spoken with Trump and has stated that he believes that the war will come to a more swift end because of Trump. And Putin apparently made a statement similarly. So that's good news. I don't know. I mean, again, we're not talking about winning or losing. We're just talking about settling it and not fighting. So I'm wondering if that's true, and Vladimir both are willing to set down arms at least for 4 more years. That'd be really nice. It'd be really nice if we could get people to stop fighting. I get it. They're older battles than I have right to opine on, but I do think it'd be nice to get everybody to stop fighting. So if what I have seen thus far is true, and those statements actually were uttered by the individuals that were supposed to have uttered them, I think that's pretty promising, at least to have put a stop temporarily or otherwise to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And that just leaves us the Israeli-Palestine, the Israel-Palestine conflict. So, rumor has it, the French have already boarded up their country just hearing about the possibility of a new. They kind of have smelled that there could potentially be conflict, and they're like, no. Luckily, it wouldn't be right at their front door, though. I mean, there's a pretty good amount of distance, I think, so between the major conflicts there. So I think that would be nice. I hope that's the case. What I hope, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the case is, but it sounds like that both of the leaders of those respective countries have some confidence in the current president-elect to try and help slow some stuff down. Or maybe they have the confidence in our current president, Biden, putting things down before January 20th. Either way, very nice to hear that that's the possibility. I think the thing is also, you always have to be ready for war. You have to always be ready for World War III or World War IV or whatever. Because if history has told us anything, it's that wars will be waged on a dime just because two people don't like each other. There are a few wars that made perfect sense, and there are several wars that make no sense at all. World War II, I get it. Civil War, I get it. Vietnam, what the heck? What were we doing? Why did we try that? War in Iraq, I know why we tried that. We shouldn't have done that. So Zelensky has stated that if Putin doesn't meet with Trump in February, then Nikolai... Those are some pretty forwardly named dignitaries, aren't they? That's funny. I think they've already. I think both of them have already spoken with him at very least. I don't know if they've had a formal in-person meeting. I think Zelensky has, but I think they've both actually already spoken with him. Started speaking with him and stuff. I don't know. Again, I know he's still in the process of attempting to bring in his cabinet, and his cabinet is not composed of the same group of people that it was before, so that means changes. So we'll see what happens, but we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not opining on... I don't have a position. A lot of people, this is another thing too, is the polarity, and this happens in the gaming world, this happens in the political world, the gaming world, the religious world, is everybody always has to have this, it's almost like it's the team mentality. And I know that we're predisposed to want to be on a team or something like that, I guess. In American football, it's very, very unpopular in my area of the world my area of the United States more specifically, not to be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. It's actually decently unpopular no matter in what of the 50 states you happen to be, in which of the 50 states you happen to be. It's actually decently popular to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. And there are people out there who get so impassioned by their team that they will literally go out into a parking lot, and 4 or 5 of them will roll a vehicle over on its side or roll it upside down just because their team lost, won, or was spoken poorly about, which is silly. And then what I realized is it's silly for anything. It's silly for religion. It's silly for politics. There's nothing that's worth having a team mentality. That's my thing. There's 1% of me that wouldn't mind an apocalypse to occur. I don't, whether one does or doesn't, I don't mind either way. The thing that I always try to tell people is, remember when you think of those things that it's and I know you're aware of this, but like the apocalypse occurs, the odds of being one of the Walking Dead survivors is low. The odds of being one of the Walking Dead is higher. And if we're not talking zombie apocalypse because of that being absolutely unrealistic, just remember, being the protagonist isn't likely for the majority of people. And it's not likely for me, it's not likely for anybody else. It's just some people will, by happenstance, survive. Most will die. Reminds me of the football crowd over here fighting each other. Yeah, same thing happens over here. American football is pretty brutal also. There's a lot more than 1% that wouldn't mind. Okay, 99, 98. Yeah, that's my thing. Like, if it happens, I mean, I'm fine if it does or doesn't happen. I have to be fine with the possibility of not existing anymore. That's fine. I would survive until the food lowers and my diabetes kicks in. I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice to know that you would. That would be good. But that's the thing about nuclear Holocaust style apocalyptic events is you don't know who survives. Where would the bomb fall? How much would the fallout affect us? What would the radiation? How long would the radiation be in the atmosphere? Right? Would you die immediately because of the blast and being well within the radius, or would you die 10 years later because of a severe cancer that you had developed from having to breathe ridiculously irradiated air? Or would you die because of some other random bandit in the middle of those two times that I've just mentioned, deciding to stab you in the back, right? The odds of being in that in-between are incredibly, incredibly low, and the odds of you being the best possible fighter out there, or the best possible survivor out there, are even lower, less than a half of a percent. I wouldn't kill you in the Apocalypse Retro. You could trust me, is exactly what a traitor would say. Maybe. I don't know that I would survive, though. That's the thing. I'd love to say I would, but I have no idea. I don't know that I would survive. If the blast radius were to happen in a place of innovation in the United States specifically, I'm in an area that would be probably dangerous. Probably be a ticking time bomb of when to evacuate the area. Maybe. But remember that the thing about Fallout, the way that Fallout works is the area... So, Chernobyl, which is a good example of radiation in its worst form, is not really going to be inhabitable safely for humans unless they take on mutations gradually, generation over generation. That's not going to be inhabitable for more years than most people could count to. If we start dropping bombs today, the same is applicable. They may say evacuate, sure, and you may not be immediately in the blast radius, but you could still be affected, damaged, heavily impacted by the fallout and radiation that is to follow. So I can't. It's one of those things where it's like maybe there's time to evacuate, but that doesn't guarantee survival or safety. I can fight. My 86-year-old neighbor didn't even know what hit her last week. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. A lot of people everybody always thinks of themselves as the protagonist. And I would love to say that you guys are all the protagonists. And you are in your own stories today. You are the protagonists. You are. When I leave and you don't talk to me anymore, Duke Paul, you are the protagonist of your story. Your life, you are the protagonist. I don't mean anything. I'm an NPC, a side character. Ash, same situation. Whenever you're in moments where you and I aren't talking, which luckily you and I get to talk fairly frequently, which I appreciate very much. But like, you are the protagonist of your life. There is no one else who can be the protagonist. There are supporting characters like partners. With a name like Duke Paul, he's the main character for at least 12 seasons. It's definitely a very heroic name. But my point is, when you have when you leave and we don't talk anymore, we're not talking anymore for that, those moments, and they're not few and far between, you are the protagonist of your life. When we start to bring in a global event, however, or even a national event, we diminish the ability to be the protagonist anymore because we are all in it. Your chances of being the protagonist go from 1 in 1 to, in the case of America, 1 in 350 million. And if we do the world, 1 in 8 billion, 7.9 billion. So, what are the odds that you're the protagonist? What are the odds any of us are? It's one of the fallacies that I think we all kind of we fall subject to. We always want to be the hero, and I don't blame us for trying to be. I think that's admirable, but to realize that the reality of a circumstance is never as positive as the movies portray them to be, you know. To realize that to be one of the ones that fight off the Walking Dead is not as likely as being one of the Walking Dead, right? It's kind of the same. It's a similar fallacy to the fallacy of the in their time, right? The phrase is, "Oh, if I lived in the 1940s, that I would have been the one to kill Hitler." That fallacy. If you went back in time from today and existed in the 40s, you might have been one of the ones to try it. You most probably wouldn't have succeeded, but you would have tried. But if you lived back then, you were born back then, you were conditioned back then, no, you wouldn't have. You don't retain what you have today. You don't think about that. You wouldn't be the hero of the story because you would have been conditioned just like everybody else to believe whatever it was, wherever you were, that everybody else believed. And in most cases in America, that was, well, we're not going to bother with it until Pearl Harbor happened, and then that was like, okay, well, now we're mad. Like, that's the other fallacy. Everybody always thinks that they're the protagonist moving forward, but everybody also thinks they would have been the protagonist moving. Oh, I would have been a beacon of hope. You wouldn't have. If you were born in the 1600s, you would have either worked and you would have either labored on the farm just like everybody else, or you would have been, subject to the horrors and of the terrible tyrants, or you would have been in line with them. You would have been as cruel as they were, because that's the conditioning. So would I. I'm not excluding myself either. That's the byproduct of conditioning. We wouldn't have been the beacons of hope, or the burgeonings of the burgeoners of evil, so to speak. We would have been whatever it was that the time conditioned most frequently, which would have been general laborers, and with some complacency and a belief that people needed to be made example of if they did something that wasn't good. I'm more of the loyal, friendly ally who looks like they might turn on you, but by the end of episode 6, but actually doesn't. Going back in time would cause too much butterfly effect. It depends on how you believe time to exist. I mean, fortuitously enough, it could cause butterfly effect. For you, it wouldn't, though. You would be... So when you go back, this is the thing that a lot of people don't think about. If time travel existed backwards, this is something I was thinking about actually, not but a few moments before I jumped on. A lot of people consider time a fourth dimension. So the question is, what if it were that time doesn't just move one direction? What if it were just like any other dimension? We simply haven't learned how to move within it, right? We know how to move the three dimensions that we understand. 3D, right, is height, width, and depth. So what if it is that we already know how to move in those three dimensions? We know how to step on a step stool and be taller, or to get down on our knees and be lower. We know how to move forwards, backwards, and on all sides. And we also know how to move side to side laterally without moving forward. So that's width. So what if we just haven't learned yet how to move back and forth in time, if it's truly a dimension that can be measured by, a dimension, right? That's what I'm saying. But the thing about it is, if you were to time travel, as most people should, to go back in time, you create a time loop. There's always from that point in time, always one version of you going back in time, that version of you living up to the moment where you went back in time, and then that moment of you going back in time again. So you've created a loop of yourself consistently, forever going back in time. Even if a version of you emerges on the other side, you will always have a loop of you going back in time. I hope the theory of aliens being us from the future isn't real. It would be disappointing. It would be. We need an aliens time-space podcast. That would be so fun. Or we could still talk about it on the one we have too. But I don't disagree. I mean, I'd love to talk about those things. It's fun. But if you were to travel in time, you would create an infinite loop of at least one version of you, consistently going back in time, always. So you'd have created a paradox, or a loop, not a paradox, but a loop. Think about that. How cool is that? Technically, you would have gained immortality and never known it. I mean, who knows? What if in the future I did the same thing, and this is just one of the versions of me that hasn't yet died? What if that's what deja vu is that we've all gone back in time and created loops of ourselves, and this particular version of us remembers what that was, and then this version of us will go past that moment, and the other version of us is subsequently going back in time. Imagine being alive forever. At some point, the Earth would be gone. Where would you be? Flying around space? That is the thing. I've always thought about immortality and wanted it, and people have said, well, what would you do if you lived in, if you were stuck in space? Then I'd be stuck in space, right? I mean, if I was immortal, then I'm stuck in space until another event happens, or I encounter another planet, right? That's my thing. If I'm immortal, then I just wait for another event, right? I've literally got all the time in the universe, so I just wait for another event. Does the universe completely snuff itself out and become completely black again? And if it does, how long before another cosmic occurrence happens, especially if you happen to believe in the Big Bang, which I believe has been kind of proved to be something more of like a pulsation. And I'm not trying to discredit anybody who has a belief of a religious thing. That doesn't necessarily exclude that, but like this pulsing, then I just wait for another cosmic event. Then when that cosmic event happens, after a certain amount of time, I'm back on it for another, however many hundreds of thousands to millions or billions of years. So, deja vu is weird. I hate deja vu. I like it. I think deja vu is interesting. I don't like it when something bad happens, but if it's just something innocuous, I think that's kind of a cool moment. But that's the question, is when you have deja vu, why does deja vu happen? You have to think about this from a mathematical perspective. Anything can happen at any time. Deja vu is usually pretty spot on. It's pretty one-to-one. So, but in the grand scheme of math, I always get it at work. See, but that's the cool thing about it. Think about this. In the grand scheme, I'm just going to go kind of high-level mathematics here. In the grand scheme of math, where you are, what you see, who else is involved, the color of things, all of these are variables. And the variables are not unlimited, but incredibly vast, beyond the number of pi in this case, right? Because you have, in terms of colors, you have so many different color combinations. In terms of people that are in attendance, animals that can cross by, you have millions, billions of possibilities. In terms of locale, you have several thousands of possibilities. In terms of the moment in time, right, you have several possibilities down to the minute. And so all of those things have to intersect, and each of those things is heavily variable, has a heavy variable itself. Millions, if not billions, if not more of combinations. So all of those have to hit a single thing, have to hit a single decisive thing. The colors have to be green, brown, whatever they are, right? They have to be, out of the millions of colors there are, they have to be one. The event has to be one. Out of the millions of things it could have been, the people and the animals and whatever else crosses your path has to be one. Out of the billions of things it could have been, and they all have to be that one thing at the same time. What are the odds that deja vu doesn't have more? Like, what are the odds that there isn't more to deja vu? That all of those billions of lottery-like numbers come to the one conclusion that you knew it would? What if I hadn't have stopped at the traffic light that one time for 10 seconds longer? Maybe I'd be a millionaire by now. Could be. I mean, that's the nature of the math that happens whenever we're talking about. That's the nature of the math of the events that occur in general, right? So, for example, hold on, let me fix there we are. So, for example, there are a lot of what if scenarios, right? What if I did this? We've seen that before, right? What if I had stayed 10 seconds longer? What if I'd taken 3 more steps? What if I, all those kinds of things. But those what ifs aren't. There's not a solid something to put it up against. Deja vu, there is. You have the memory of what was against the event that is, and all of those variables that are in the millions, billions, multiplied against each other, literally into decillions, right? Decillions. That is massively, for anybody who isn't, I'm sure everybody can, but anybody who doesn't count really beyond a trillion, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, sexillion, septillion, octillion, nonillion, decillion, undecillion, dodecillion, right? So we're talking about numbers that have, normally we would denote these with an exponent or something that tells us that there's just this many zeros that go after the fact, like a googol, right? To the 100, with 100 zeros that follow. That amount of possibility, all coming to a perfect 1-to-1 all the way down the line with what you have. What are the odds? I'm sure Michio Kaku or somebody could tell me, but I currently don't know. You know what else is weird? Dreams. Dreams are weird, but dreams are a little easier to explain at very least, right? It's when they manifest. It's when something in real life comes true that happened in your dreams, otherwise inexplicable. Because dreams we understand to just be chemical and electrical firings of the brain during your subconscious. You absorb things into your mind, your subconscious, your conscious through the conversations we're having right now, things you've seen that had a great impact on you, movies, television, news, etc., and then you regurgitate that in slapdash format in your subconscious mind. I'm always lost in dreams, never know where I am, and people are always annoyed with me. Well, that's no. Well, there are kind of, I can't say why that particular thing is, because that's not quite the way that mine have worked for what few that I have whenever I have them. But what I can say is there are some observed phenomenon that are kind of similar, I guess, in dreams. A lot of people apparently find themselves moving a lot slower in dreams than they do in real life. Find themselves hitting a lot less hard than they do. Like if somebody who's fighter in their dreams is not going to be able to hit as hard in their dreams. It never does enough. It's kind of like moving through water, I think a lot of people say. And so I do kind of wonder what that commonality is. If that's part of if that's like a self-defeating part of our brain. I have horror dreams often too, but that might be my freak horror fan brain. Well, I guess it would depend. I would think it would be. I guess it would be whether the horror dreams are good or bad, right? Because being a horror fan, that's the thing that's about me. I love horror, but horror doesn't scare me. I've never been scared of what I see in horror films. So if I have a dream with I've had dreams before with like a killer. And those never bothered me. Like, I've never been afraid of the killers in the first place, and so in my dream is no different. I'm not afraid of the killer there either. It's just kind of cool to watch things. Like, I've made peace. I've made peace with death, not age. So to die has never been something that has scared me at all. Age terrifies me, but to die has never terrified me. Is it bad that I don't dream that much? No, I don't either. I mean, one of the things that I've said on this channel before, I don't even have an inner monologue. I don't hear voice. It was brought to my attention in recent years, by the way, and I've been around for a long time. But after decades and decades of life, it was only brought to my attention that people have this like inner monologue. They can hear their own voice in their head. I can't do that. So I assume that ties in with why when I have dreams, they're not remarkably vivid and that I don't have them often. That's my best guess. I'd rather not dream. So yeah, fair enough. My horror dreams always have a sense of dread. It's never someone after me. It's just some looming sense of panic. It's weird. And again, I don't have a tendency to panic. My inner monologue is too active. So yeah, I don't have an inner monologue. I don't hear my voice or anyone else's in my mind, ever. My thoughts manifest themselves in imagery and words that I can see printed in a projector through a projector on a wall. That's how I've learned to process. Dude, no, I don't do that. But I can imagine that would be a panic. No, if something like that, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. What a terrible situation to be put into. But at the same time, if something like that is happening, then it's probably that I'm sick, and I can only apologize for the mess I caused, not the sick I am. That is a crazy line. Really funny though. No, I believe that's my thing. Like that's how I look at it. Like if something like that were to happen, then I have to assume that I'm probably sick. And if I'm sick, I can only apologize for the mess I've made, not the sick I am. I can't help it that I'm sick. I can apologize for having made a mess though. And if I'm in someone's house or something like that, or wherever I might be. But the thing about it is everything is reparable. You can always go somewhere and do something about it. It's not going to be probably the most comfortable of transport, but at the same time, it's only a moment in time that will pass. Politics, dreams, time, space. The retro room. That's the idea, though, of the retro room, is you can talk about whatever you want to, from important to unimportant, from reverent to irreverent. It doesn't matter. That would absolutely be. If you did it in your car, that would be unfortunate. Especially if you happen to have, a cloth interior. But again, I don't know. That's my thing. I don't think there's really. That's my thing. I don't think there are very many things out there to panic about. I don't panic very often, if at all. I don't think I panic at all. I think the only time I've ever panicked is in the event that my daughter is or was in some sort of trouble. And then it's just that immediate sense of uh-oh, and then that's immediately followed by let's make a plan. and then we make a plan, and generally the plan works out decently well. It's workable enough that we were able to overcome, and we're done again. That's the thing about life. This is the thing about this. That's the thing that I feel like I have taken away from life. You don't panic when I don't say something in chat after. No, I don't. I assume you probably fell asleep or had something more important to do. I don't panic about. That's the thing. That's what I don't get is everybody's talking about. This is something I want to talk about, and this might catch me a little bit of flack. Stop worrying, I'm fine. Well, the hope is that you would tell me if you weren't. That would be what I would hope for, is that kind of candor, because I'm happy to help in any way that I might be able to. But I think the thing that I've realized in life, and the secret in life, is everybody keeps talking about, we need to take mental health days, and we need more therapy, and I'm not saying we don't. I'm not saying people don't. But I also think that we have lost the ability to just breathe and know it'll be fine. Nothing is... virtually none of the choices we're going to make in the grand scheme of things are going to be insulting my mental... I'm not insulting anyone's mental health. I'm talking about the general consensus of that our mental health is on the decline, which I agree that a lot of exposure to social network and the gloom and doom of the world does cause that. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, like, there are people out there that have legitimate medical conditions, chemical brain, the chemistry of their brain is in a way that causes them to suffer from a thing like a panic attack or severe depression or manic depression in some cases, right? Mania, that is, there's a lack of we have conditions like Parkinson's, which affect older minds, dementia, short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss, right? There are a lot of different conditions that can occur to the brain. So I want to be very clear. I'm not diminishing that there are people out there who are doing that, but what we have to also be able to do, I think, is instead of immediately rolling that over, we got to start taking a breath and realizing some key facts about things, which is 9 times out of 10, what happens this moment, panicky or not, it's not going to be forever. It's going to be for right now, and I can solve it. The next thing is to have confidence in ourselves, right? We have to have confidence that we can do things, right? Maybe I need to go see someone for therapy. Maybe I need to talk to somebody, but also I'm in a scenario right now where I feel something external has happened, something outside has happened, and I feel like I'm panicked right now. Okay, take a breath. What is my plan? I can get through this. I will get through this. Does it mean that the panic and the scare and the fear or the depression, does that mean it goes away magically and that we can just overpower it? Heck no. If you could just randomly overpower it, it'd be gone for everybody. But it does mean that we can take some proactive steps to not put ourselves in more panic than we need to be. That's all I'm saying. In all seriousness, I've been taking more of it doesn't matter approach to some things, and it really can help when you just let the realization set in. There you go. That's great. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not expecting this to cure. Might as well change your name from the retro room to the mental health diminisher. I'm not diminishing mental health, and I'm not diminishing the focus on it. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that anybody who suffers from any kind of mental health disorder isn't well-deserved and well-diagnosed, and I'm not saying any of that. I think that the people that have, doctors are literal professionals are diagnosing people with this. I think that is absolutely they're the professionals. I can't, I'm not going to make an opinion against that. What I am saying is that I think a lot of people, what they don't realize is we are in an environment that is primed to make that worse. We have things at our fingertips, like the phones with news and such that continuously imagine newspapers coming in, and you read the paper, you don't read the paper. News is coming from a single outlet, a local outlet. Okay. We now can look at 5 or 6 different outlets, and all of them will spell doom and gloom in one direction or another. And that panics people. People give opinions on things, and they piggyback those opinions on They piggyback their facts on their opinions and say, well, the world is like, again, during the election, it was no matter what way you went, it was Nazis and it was Nazi Germany and Hitler, or it was the dissolving of freedom of speech because of the suppression of people by the quote unquote woke mob, or it didn't matter which way you went. Both of them were awful, just propagandists against each other. And that made everybody who didn't realize that we've had presidents like this before. Trump has been the president before. Harris could be the president, and she would probably be very similar to Biden in a lot of ways. Like, we got through Biden, we got through Trump. We're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's less likely that something unsalvageable will occur than we think it is. And so everybody always kind of pushes themselves to that illogical conclusion that it's the end of the world, this particular event. And it happens locally too, not take the elections out of it. You know, I lost my job, therefore it's the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. It's worth being sad, it's worth being worried, but it's also worth making a plan, going, look, I got this job doing this, I'm going to put my actions in now. This is day one. And, you know, realizing, hey, let's get some help in the interim, but for now, I've got this. Mental health doesn't exist. I didn't say that. I don't deny mental health is a big part of the world. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not diminishing the importance of therapists. I'm not diminishing the importance of people who have legitimate diagnosed or even undiagnosed but are suffering from some form of mental ailment, including and not limited to depression. I'm not even telling you don't, you know, I'm not talking against prescription drugs that help it for people who are on them. None of that. What I'm saying is we have an opportunity that we don't really take advantage of often to realize that most of the things that we panic over and that we allow to control our mood don't actually make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. That's all I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. If somebody suffers from depression, if you suffer from depression and you need therapy and you've got prescription, do that. Absolutely do that. You know, talk with your therapist, see what they say you should do. Work together to create a plan with them. You know, they're the professional. That's what I'm saying. I'm simply saying let us not inadvertently or advertently exacerbate things and say every scenario where we create panic is the end of the world, because that's where it always seems to go. Oh, it's the end of the world. I don't know how much farther I can take this. I don't know. This thing is the straw that broke the camel's back. Most of the time, it's not as bad as we think it is. We put it that way, but it's not as bad as we think it is. So I'm just saying, work with, let's try not to make everything the end of the world, and then work with mental health professionals and go by their advice and get what you need done for you. And that's all easier said than done, but you said it perfectly, Ash, is the it doesn't matter approach is a great approach. Something bad happens, I got this, it doesn't matter. I'll figure a way out. Right? Doesn't mean you're less depressed or less, it just means that in that moment you're not letting that effect cripple you. You're still working to get, I'm offended. Well, I hope you don't mind me borrowing it, but I do think that's the perfect thing. It doesn't matter. It's not that big a deal. Something happened. Not that big a deal, right? Don't stop working with your mental health professional. Still see your therapist. You know, if you're taking medications and you're working with your mental health professional, continue to do as they ask. Continue to work with them. But if you can, if it's possible for you to, if you can set that aside in your mind, when something happens, instead of, oh, it's the end of the world, see if you can do, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's not that big a deal. See if you can, if that's possible. Is it going to cure you? Heck no. I wish it would. That's not how it works. But it's like, don't worry about it. Your eyes are bleeding, doesn't matter. Those are more extreme, but those are also less likely to happen. I think people do that mostly with like tests and with work and with deadlines. I think that's where I see it most frequently. Or with wars, like news that comes in. Let me give you an example. You're in high school, right? You're in high school, you're about to graduate, you're in college, you're working on your thesis, and you cram at the very last moment, and it's just, you don't feel like you put in 110%. You know what? Doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. You got this. Next time, let's get that time management under. You know, you got a paperback, you worked really hard on it, you didn't understand. You came back, you got a C. You know what? Doesn't matter. We're going to go get a tutor. We can figure this out. We can turn that around. That's what I'm talking about. Wife cheating on you? Doesn't matter. Climb out of the wardrobe and stop watching. Well, the first part of that, though, Same situation. Your wife's cheating on you? Okay. Doesn't matter. It hurts. But then you cut that out and you say, you know what? I got to work on me. So again, it's not a cure. Depression's a very real thing. I don't happen to suffer from it, so I can't speak to it intelligently, but I have very, very close friends, and my wife are all, and my brother, who's a dear friend of mine as well as being my little brother, all are heavily impacted by things like this, and I do see it, and I realize that what I'm saying isn't an easy ask. But it's something that I've gotten to talk with my wife about, and I think she does it really well. It's not going to cure you. It's not a cure. There is no cure. It's not a diminishment of what you are, what you've been diagnosed with, or whatever opinions have been given to you by a professional. They have carte blanche on that. I agree. What I'm saying is, if you have something like that happening, you have something go bad at work, you get reprimanded, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to work to be better next time. You get terminated because of something random, doesn't matter. I'm going to give 110% to this next job. Let me go start putting applications in. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Ed, I'm sorry, but we're just that close now. No, I love my beautiful wife. I would not cheat on my wife. I've seen what cheating does, and I've seen how it destroys people, and I hate that. So I would never cheat on my wife. I was calling out the wardrobe. Yeah, Ash has got some great scenarios here in this commentary. He's had some good scenarios. But that's what I'm saying. And so I want to be very, very clear. It isn't the diminishment of mental health or the crisis that there is. I think the mental health crisis is a very real crisis, exacerbated by people firstly giving some of the most polarizing and inflammatory opinions that they possibly can, and by diminishing the importance of people's independence, and by allowing us to have access to tons and tons and tons of news. And I think that allowing us to have access isn't the same as us choosing to use it against ourselves, and I think we do that. I think we having access isn't the bad thing. I think the fact that we don't usually choose to exercise discipline in using our phones. We don't choose to get. I was in a seminar with with a doctor. What is his name? Tony. I've got his name right here, actually. Bridwell. I was in a seminar with him on Wednesday. Dr. Tony Bridwell, and he was talking about statistically. He was saying something about. That almost everybody has their phone within 3 feet of them 24 hours a day. This is a testament to the addiction of using a cell phone. And you can choose to use a cell phone that frequently and still use it better. Like, I don't always have my phone on me. I do enjoy not using my phone. I do enjoy having it set on a charger somewhere and not worry about it. I have no problem with that. I don't need to be on it 110. Like, I'm not on mine. I haven't touched it. I don't know I don't even know where I set it. But anyway, wherever it is, doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't feel like I'm missing out on the world, because the world, I'm where I need to be right now. I'm where I want to be right now. I'm sitting down. I'm talking with you guys. And that's what I'm getting at. And so if you're, see, I feel like saying this is crazy is also another way of saying it doesn't matter and laughing at the problem. That's true. That's a good way to do it too. Tony Montana. I mean, I don't know where you're going with it. It's like pull the phone out of your pocket, say hello to my little friend. I'm addicted to my phone, I admit. I'm getting, but that's the other thing. Okay, let's say that the phone itself is an addiction. What does that mean? That you have to be addicted to the bad stuff? Does that mean that you have to be addicted to the social media? I mean, what if you just have digital copies of, when we buy movies down here, Blu-rays, DVDs, they have ultraviolet. Several of them had ultraviolet, or they have digital copies of the movies in them. I try to find the ones that have those in it. So I have a lot of movies on my phone too that I've gotten from ultraviolet. So if I really am just wanting some stimulus and I decide that that's what I need, usually I'll have some stimulus while I'm washing dishes, because that's boring. I'll watch a movie. I don't care about the internet. I'll watch a movie. I'll listen to a movie I enjoy. I don't need to hear what the world thinks about this and that. No, I got a movie on. I've got Kingsman on, which I actually quite like. Or I've got, a Tarantino film on. Or I've got one of the Star Wars films on, I'm not poisoning myself with outside opinions of this, that, and the other, and the world's doom and gloom. I'm listening to something I think is cool. I have so many coding study apps on my phone and manga. Oh, very nice. See, that's the thing. All those movies and you still won't watch. Dune is, you have to bear in mind, if they're on my phone, I'll listen to a movie, but it's always a movie I've seen already, so I know what it is. Dune is a time commitment to me sitting down and actually watching the movie. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, right? I've never seen them, so I'm not just going to sit there and listen to them passively. I've read the books, of course, and I know what the books are, but I've never actually seen the movies. They're time commitments. I want to sit down and watch them. These are movies that I've seen 1,000 times, and I'll listen to them in the background, and I'll do my thing. Yeah, Dune, exactly, and that's where I want to do it. We have them. We bought both of them. We bought Dune, both part 1 and 2. I just haven't had the chance to sit down and offer the time commitment, but we did buy them. We do have them. Every time you say you still haven't seen Lord of the Rings, I'm reminded, and I'm disappointed for a while. I'll get by though. I've read the books. The thing about me is I think the books, if the books come first, they're almost always better. This is true for The Witcher. This is true for Lord of the Rings. This is true for, or at least I feel it is. This is true for Game of Thrones. I haven't heard of Game of Thrones. I haven't seen Game of Thrones. Excuse me. I've read Game of Thrones books, or the first 5, Song of Ice and Fire. But anyway, and I heard that the show is great until a certain point, and then it just falls straight off. The Witcher, same situation. I heard it was okay, and then takes a deep nosedive. And Lord of the Rings is like, oh, it's really, really good. But then I'll ask about, well, how does it stack up to the books? And people are like, eh. Jurassic Park's a better movie than a book. That is true, but that I think is, firstly, it's an anomaly, and second of all, it took me, I only saw Jurassic Park for the first time. I read the book back in the 90s, but I saw the movie for the first time, I think, 3 years ago. Who are the freaks saying that Lord of the Rings isn't as good as the book? Other people that read the books first. So there's probably some bias there, but other people that read the books first. I mean, there are a lot of things. It's kind of same thing with Game of Thrones, right? Like the entire epic of Sir Duncan the Tall is completely, as I understand it, gone. Like just gone. In The Witcher, my understanding is that they actually kind of cover some of the stuff really good, but then they skip through a lot of it. My understanding is that they want to establish, and again, I don't know this for a fact, so you have to correct me, but if you've seen The Witcher, it's like apparently they want to establish how he got the title of the Butcher of Blaviken, which is an event that happens in the book The Last Wish, which is a short story compendium that came out originally in 1993, I think, but it was translated into English in 2007, I think. But anyway, point being is, or was it 2007? Somewhere around that neighborhood. Anyway, 2007, something like that. But 2007. But anyway, point being is, they don't go into any of the history of it. Like in the thing, it was this wizard called Stregobor, which was going up against this princess who had been violated in many, many ways, who was I think Princess Renfrey, but she was called Shrike because she had decided to renounce the princess part and become this, like, apparently they cover it, but they cover it really just in a short, kind of awful way. So it's like, all right, you leave all these great details out. And for frame of reference, I mean, the Witcher has 8, 9 novels, and you're trying to cover all of those in 3, 4 seasons? That's not going to do the trick. So that's kind of where I feel about Lord of the Rings. Now, one of the things I will give Lord of the Rings credit to is each of them are, 4 bleeding hours apiece, 12 hours. Takes a smidge longer to read the books, but that's pretty darn close. So I would say that they at least tried to get more and more of the detail in it, which I think is respectable. And then you've got the Hobbit book, and you've got the Silmarillion, and all those other kind of good supplementary writings of J.R.R. Tolkien. So you will duel them immediately. I don't know yet. Again, I have the movies. I haven't seen them. So I have heard that they are, as far as adaptations of novels go, I have heard that they are absolutely remarkable, though. So I think that motivates me. And of course, you said the same thing about Dune, which of course Dune is. I've read the Dune books. At least I know I've read the first trilogy. I think the first 5 I've read of the Dune novels. But I know for a fact I've read that. And I did see the original Dune movie that came out, which was really funny, in my opinion. I mean, like, obviously it's got some serious moments to it, but they did some funny stuff in it just because of the graphics and the limitations. And, having seen that one, I can say with full confidence that the books are better, but it was fun. Dune is amazing, but Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite. Is also one of my favorite directors, which is very fair, and I think he's great. So that's why I was like, yeah, we should definitely get him, and so we can see him. I just haven't had the time yet, because a lot of times when you want to do justice to a book series and they're in their book format first, and you want to do justice to them, the movies themselves have to balloon out in time because they try to cover all of the stuff that happens in the book. And so while I respect that, it also takes me more time to get to it. Who one of my favorite, obviously Denis Villeneuve I think is great, but one of my favorite, and I'm going to say Paradigm, Quentin Tarantino is really good too. You want to know who someone I really like is, just because, as far as directors go, I like Guy Ritchie. I like Guy Ritchie a lot. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies, which are some favorites of mine, but I like his stuff a lot too. And I know I think he's had some movies that are like, they've been like flops. Well, I wouldn't say flops. They've just kind of been But like, yeah, that's I like his stuff a lot. I know he did the Sherlock Holmes movies, which are some of my favorite back then, and then he did what was the movie called? The Gentleman, with there was a lot of good. It was like I think Charlie Hunnam was in it. Who else was in it? Who am I trying? Matthew McConaughey. That was the name I was trying to think of. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty well done as well. So, but we'll see. I suppose we'll try and find time to sit down and do it. Hopefully over the holiday, because I actually have it set, if everything goes as I expect it to. The other one I want to see, he came out with one called I don't like the Kingsman films, and I don't know why. They're not bad at all. I just don't get the vibe. I like the Kingsman, the first one. The second one was kind of and then I really actually thought the King's Man was pretty good too. The one with Ray Fiennes. But it appeals to a part of me that is silly, right? Like, so it's James Bond. That's what it is. It's just less serious James Bond, and that appeals to me a lot. And the thing I really like about James Bond, and the reason I do think the movies of the James Bond movies are better than the books, is because if you've ever read a James Bond novel, you'll understand they're very small. They're very short novels. It's very much the opposite. Like, you read the novel's 120 pages, 130 pages, and it takes you 2 hours to get through a James Bond movie. There's plenty of room for expansion. Kingsman is that, but there was no book in the first place. Wait until the reboot, The King's Man. That's a woman, long title. Yeah, no, that was... I don't know if I would be... I don't know if that would be the one I'd be going for there. There was the Kingsman, which was the one that came out in 2014 or 15. I can't remember when. The one with Samuel Jackson and Colin Firth and all that. Then the second one comes out, Golden Circle, and it's supposed to have this. I'm going to give a spoiler right off the bat, just because it was disappointing. But like, it's supposed to have Channing Tatum, but he's in like 10% of the movie. And then again, it's Colin Firth and what is the guy's name? Such and such Egerton or whatever. And it was like, that one was okay. And then they came out with The King's Man, which is a prequel, and it's got it covers like the early 1900s. It's got Ray Fiennes as the main talent in it, but it's got like Charles Dance and everything in it. And then it was like the bad guys are Rasputin and Lenin, that was kind of cool. So I've heard The Penguin is good. I've heard that too. I haven't had time to watch. I haven't had time to watch. I haven't even finished the Batman. I didn't have time. We ended up running off in the middle of it, so I was like, eh. One of the ones I want to see also that I haven't yet seen, speaking of Guy Ritchie, though, is The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's got Alan Ritchson and Henry Cavill in it, and I've wanted to see that really badly. I thought that might be fun. There's a scene that I've seen over and over. It keeps getting recommended to me, of Alan Ritchson and Henry Cavill being held like on a boat, and they end up getting held at gunpoint, and Alan Ritchson starts laughing, and he's putting on this like accent. I can't remember from where. But seeing that character is really, really good. You've seen Drive? The name sounds familiar, but I don't know if I have. Was that the one with was that the one with Brad Pitt, or no? That was the one with Ryan Gosling, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I had seen that one. Yeah, see, like I like that kind of stuff. That's the thing. I like those. I like those kind. I like a lot of the. And same thing with James Bond. Like, I like James Bond. I like the kind of spy, the mafia, the thriller, the gangster. Like, I like that kind of stuff. No, I don't think I've seen Arrival. Who does that have in it? So I don't think I've seen that one. But I remember seeing Amy Adams. Oh, okay. I'll have to take a look at that then. If it's a Denis Villeneuve film, it's sci-fi. Okay. It's like I like the for me I like the James Bondy crazy plot kind of out there, which I think Guy Ritchie does really well again. But we're talking about like and Tarantino does really well also, but like Sherlock Holmes, Django Unchained, Inglourious, but they're all ridiculous to an extent, but then they're also rooted in something that isn't so ridiculous. And so like those are the ones I tend to really get involved in. What was another one that I actually quite like? Knives Out. And Knives Out The Glass Onion, which were ironically Rian Johnson films, I think, or at least the first one was, and they're murder mysteries. And ironically, again, it's got what was the guy that played Daniel Craig, the guy that plays James Bond, but he plays this Southern gentleman, Benoit Blanc, and it's kind of this Agatha Christie kind of approach. He's the world's greatest detective, but he's also a Southern gentleman, befuddled often. And Daniel Craig plays the part so ridiculously well, which I think he's a phenomenal actor. And I watched Glass Onion the other day, a fun movie. Yeah, it's just Glass Onion. I don't think Glass Onion is as good as the first one personally, but like that's the kind of stuff I like. It's just ridiculous, silly, out there with like. Yeah, same here. I think the first one is quite a bit better. But Glass Onion was fun, wasn't it? I mean, it's just you got Benoit Blanc, the gentleman. What is it? The gentleman detective who would most assuredly want to help you solve your murder. You know, I like those. Do you like those murder films too with Kenneth Branagh? I know the actor. Which murder films are we talking about? Which ones did he do? Because he did like, didn't he do like a Poirot one? Yeah. He did the Poirot stuff. Murder in the yes. Poirot. So that's the thing. Poirot is Agatha Christie's, basically that's Agatha Christie's version of Sherlock Holmes. And yeah, I do like Poirot. I actually have the... so I'm a huge fan of... Sherlock Holmes is like my favorite... It's not a superhero. It's my favorite hero, protagonist. And Poirot goes into that same portfolio for me. And so Poirot and Sherlock Holmes and so I actually have the game... Like, I've purchased all of the Sherlock Holmes games and the Poirot Agatha Christie games as well. Yes, those... I do like those quite a lot. Yay! This is Doctor Who Day, and Retro is going to talk about nothing but Doctor Who. Yet, first, my sentiment appliance has to ask a question during my breakfast. Would you like some toast? Viddy, I would always love some toast, but I cannot have it, sadly. Though I do appreciate the offer, I don't want to be discourteous in my declination. Welcome in, Mr. Viddy. I saw some Sherlock Holmes games on the store, and I didn't realize how much of a Victorian Gothic element they have. They're super, super good. I love the Sherlock Holmes games. Eventually, I would love to play the Sherlock Holmes games on this channel, but they are puzzle games. Far and above anything else that they are puzzle games. And because they are puzzle games, they do have a tendency to be a little bit slower paced than a lot of people might enjoy. Does that mean I won't play them? No. It just means that I might not bore people on the channel with them. But I adore the Sherlock Holmes games. I played Chapter 1. I have all of them. I have all of the Sherlock... I own all of them, I'm happy to say. So, Crimes and Punishment, they're all good. Retro is the Doctor. When did this happen? I wish I were the Doctor. That would be really cool. To be a Time Lord, someone that could infinitely respawn and was infinite themselves in essence, but not in body. That'd be nice. I would love that. I think I've said this before, though. I'd love to be the toy maker just as much. But yeah, the games are beautiful. They're made by a company called Frogware. And one of them was actually published by Atlas, but most of them are published just by kind of miscellaneous companies. But the Frogware company does a really, really good job. And if you're looking to play one and you want a recommendation on how to play one to get a taste of what they are, I would say start, honestly, it's not the best one, but it is a really good one. I would say start with Chapter 1. Literally Chapter 1 is what it's called. If you want the best one, I think that could probably be a Testament of Sherlock Holmes is probably the best one. Either that or Crime and Punishment. If you want one that has a very just dark right off the bat atmosphere, I would say get involved in the ones where they intermingle H.P. Lovecraft lore. So they have like there's the Sinking City one. There's one very similar to that. I'm trying to think. It's not the Sinking. That one's there, and that one's good too. But I'm trying to think of the one. It's the Awakened or the Awakening. It's one of those is what it's called. But that one was pretty darn cool as well. And then personal favorite, if you happen to just be disinclined towards anything Sherlock Holmes, but you're looking for something interesting, I would say Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper is pretty cool. It's for the Xbox 360 and PS3, I think. Doctor Who is sometimes considered as iconic as Sherlock Holmes, and he's probably rightfully so. Considered that way. The thing I like about Sherlock Holmes, and the thing that escalates him to my top hero in this particular case, is that it was the fact that he himself was so flawed. Like Doctor Who has mistakes and bips and bops, eccentricities, let's call it, for every iteration of him that come in. But Sherlock was one man, genius and brilliant, and yet flawed, a drug fiend, and abuser, on the verge of literal madness and at the apex of actual genius at the same time. He was able to solve everyone else's problem, and he also was the greatest problem that could not yet be solved at the same time. So, Doctor Who does a lot of that very, very well. It doesn't quite fall into the same category for me, but it's pretty close. Oh, but we have been talking for a very, very pleasant 2 1/4 hour. So I think I would like to not bore you too much. I'd still love to talk with you, but if we could maybe put the game in at the same time, I hope nobody would be opposed. I do want to say really quickly, as a disclaimer, this is potentially for some one of, if not the most bothersome chapters, we could call it. It is a topic that very, very, very much is not comfortable for a lot of people. And you guys have probably seen, if you've watched the last one that we did, you've seen the levels of discomfort that this game can reach. Which is quite a lot with the chapter of Ellen. So this one's going to push that boundary as well. It is going to go to a place that is very uncomfortable. So my only ask is, if you are easily bothered by such things, this would be probably the point where you might want to click off. Otherwise, I'm going to hop in here in just a second. Yeah, there will be a lot of talking during the DWB Stardew Valley get-together. I will message you about a test soon. No worries. No worries at all. I'm still waking up this morning. I think I'll be fine. I hope you'll be all right. The fact that you woke up is a pretty good sign, I think. So let me go ahead. I'm going to start clicking and launching some stuff here and there. You'll get to see what I'm going to here in just a moment. I'm going to scoot this window over here so I can see your chat still. Yeah, I would hope you're doing all right. Again, waking up is a pretty good indication. Again, I want to go ahead and give a quick note to everybody on GOG, because I am launching it again, and I've been touting it for a while. I'm going to continue to tout it because it does make perfect sense to me. That GOG has started an initiative called the GOG Preservation Program, where they are taking games that have been discontinued, or they are no longer being maintained, taken care of, quality of life, etc. Not comfortable with this game. Thanks for changing it. This chapter is very uncomfortable for anybody who is easily offended. So I'm going to say it. I'll tell you some stuff about it, but yeah, this one will be uncomfortable for some people. Yeah, so they're doing the GOG Preservation Program. Basically, what they're doing is they're taking games that are no longer being maintained. Excuse me. Games that are no longer being maintained, and they are maintaining them, adding quality of life improvements, and then making them available to people. I think they're available for purchase through GOG, but they're usually, I think I bought some of them that were on the list, and they were like 89 cents. Which is, I think, incredibly reasonable. So if you're interested in it, remember, GOG games are games that once you've purchased, you own. They give you offline installers and access to all of your stuff. Once you've downloaded it, it is on your computer or wherever you've downloaded it. And it is not going to go away, whether your power is out. Well, if your power is out, you probably can't play it. But I'm sorry, when your power goes down, you bring it back up, your game's still there offline. No internet, your internet's down. They even say in the zombie apocalypse, so long as you can turn on your machine, you can play the game. And I absolutely love them for that. So I want to raise awareness. Again, I don't get paid. There's no promotion for this in terms of, or no paid promotion. I'm not paid to say this. I'm not emailed to say this. It is something I truly believe in. If you want to own your games, and if you're wanting to keep games that you've played in your youth alive, I heavily recommend taking a look at the GOG website and the GOG, what's called GOG Galaxy, which is their program. And it will tell you what they have available and what you can purchase, and a purchase with them is a real for real owning purchase, which means it is yours to keep. Okay, let's see. I heard about GOG doing that. Yeah, it is something I am very, very happy about. So really quickly. I'm going to do that. Load that up. Yep. I'm going to touch that button right there. I'm going to tap that button right there. Get us back over here. Perhaps that's where we're supposed. Yeah, that feels about right. Just saying. All right. All right. Let's see if this works. It should. Should being the operative word. If I poke this button. And there we are. This is Nimdok. Nimdok is the last of our guys. Everybody else is gone. Here comes Nimdok. See, that's what gaming's all about. Just press the button, and then that button, and then that button. That's tap, touch, tap, tap, touch. Yep, pretty much. That's the thing about games. In this case, like, this is, again, a point-and-click adventure puzzle game. But I do like it. Like, again, this does not use my internet any bandwidth at all. It is downloaded to my computer. I can launch it. I have the manual in PDF for. I think this has the manual. I need to be careful about that because not every game has a manual with these. But I believe this one does. But yeah, you get the manual in a PDF form. If they added DLC, not DLC, if they added extra pack-in stuff, you get a scan of that. Like for the D&D games, you get maps and stuff. It's really cool. I mean, the only thing better would be getting the physical version, obviously, in the case of the physical, like the maps and such. But I'm not going to complain, honestly. And I could say getting a physical copy of the disc, but most of those discs don't run anymore on modern computers. So GOG has actually put effort into making sure they still run on your modern computer. I think that is awesome. Lost came up with the game idea. Just press button every 108 minutes. Oof. That's a good reference, by the way, for the 108 just there. Lost is such a great show. How he goes from being a normal guy to a crazy drug lord called Heisenberg. It's a great reference for 108 minutes because that's what I was saying too about this. These guys have been alive. These guys have been held alive for 109 years. In Buddhism, 108 temptations is what a man is said to face or be able to face, and they've been kept alive for 1 year longer even. All right, we're going to bring Nimdok in. Nimdok is very uncomfortable, and you're going to know exactly why right when we get to where he is. Now, you also actually have a reference, says the Lost Tribe of Humanity. If you're familiar with history and you're familiar with some of the religious histories and such, you might know what the Lost Tribe is, or referring to. So the island makes a chemistry teacher into some kind... Anyway, true.
Looks familiar, but why would
worse than that, just a little bit.
Gates and fences. Who could be lost in such a secure area?
Okay, I don't know if you know, but can you tell where we are? He's on that level. No, it's definitely worse than that. So I don't know if you can tell where we are, but no, it's not. That's not what it is. If you can tell where we are, we've got barbed wire, razor wire fences, barbed wire up here. We've got something that looks pretty suspicious. Does say am, but pretty suspicious. Now, this map was intentionally, this world was intentionally made to keep you uncomfortable. So some of the music you're going to hear is going to seem like this droning tone that keeps increasing in pitch. It's made to keep you uncomfortable. Windows and doors, rugs, mats, and posters are all made asymmetrical to keep people off balance and to give them no sense of reprieve in the mind. At least there's a movie this December. I saw the trailer for that, and I saw that Jim Carrey's also playing Grandpa Robotnik, Gerald. I think that's kind of great. All right, let's talk to this guy. I missed him.
You must let me leave. I have urgent business elsewhere.
I cannot let you pass, Doctor. You're due in surgery. Dr. Mengel's orders.
Okay. Also, if you're a history buff, you probably already know who Dr. Mengele is. Let's talk to this guy then. Mengele was a real person, so fandoms in general can be the worst. Like, even Whovians can get just... I prefer to talk about Doctor Who on my own most of the time. Yeah, that's fair. I like Sonic too. I like Sonic as well, but at the same time, I don't get overly... I try not to get overly passionate about everything, and then I also don't mind if like people are like, I don't want to talk about this. I'm also fine just being like, all right, cool.
Why are you imprisoned here? You have the features of a man of intellect.
Is this an official interrogation, Nimdok? Or are you mocking me?
Oh, sure, yeah, for Mortal Kombat especially. So that's another thing, too. There's a lot of little pieces that they slip in. He says you have the features of a man of intellect. What physical features indicate intellect? Let's assume that this is the 1930s or 40s, right? I know what year it is, but I'm not going to say anything yet. What physical features at that time could betray actual intellect? The answer is no one knows.
You know me?
I thought I did. Until you had me arrested for refusing to condone your experiments.
Experiments? I know nothing of experiments.
Your sense of humor is as sick as your methods.
And I'm trying to figure out... I don't want to say anything that's going to really screw me up.
Having maimed or killed hundreds in the name of...
I noticed Sonic fans get really into the lore and shipping and stuff. Toes? Toes? What is toes?
Why would I bother to have you imprisoned like this?
The regime needed answers, but I stood in your way. Well, now you have them.
Okay.
Do you know of the lost tribe?
Let's say toes.
Haven't you taken enough subjects for your experiments, Doctor? Or are there more mass graves to fill?
Okay, anybody want to hazard a guess as to where we are?
I know nothing of what you talk about. This conversation is...
What are toes? Why, toes are the things that humans named up to 10 additional things attached to our feet. Did you know that the ironic part of counting and the reason that California, I reckon... What? We're not in California for sure. Do you know that... Did you know that part of the reason we count, part of the reason you have 12s and 60s and all these different things for minutes and hours is because not of the fingers and the toes, but of the spaces in between the bends and folds of your fingers being counted as one. And if you do that with your fingers, you have 12 of them. You have 12 on those, so that, you can count up to 12 12s hypothetically on that. So, speaking of which, sort of, what time is it over there for you now, Retro? Just asking before and for Stardew Valley placeholder time. It is about it's 16:05. Okay, so let's go in here because that door's closed for now. Let me see if I can go in here. Did you know in 1998 Winston Churchill created the mouse pad? Specifically, it was more for comfort while playing Quake. I think he was already gone.
In the operation. After all, this may be the last opportunity we have together before the end of the war to finish our research.
Ah, yes, the research. Let us talk about this research.
We will have time for that after the surgery. Meet me at the complex later.
Okay, so that was Dr. Mengele. And you can see, like I was saying, everything's off kilter. The wall kind of doesn't go straight up and down. It goes off to a side. The bookshelf is off kilter as well. The rug is not centered. The table is sloped. The lamp is leaning. Like, everything is supposed to make you uncomfortable. Not quite. We'll get to see some of it.
A youth with 1945 stamped beneath. There is something familiar about this.
Okay, so we now know the year is 1945. let's walk into, I believe beyond this is the surgery.
Finally, Doctor. Everyone's waiting on your expertise.
Okay. So we can see there's somebody here. This is an arena. We can see people up there watching. Let's talk to the anesthetist. The anesthetist. Goodness.
What is your function?
I will be administering ether to the subject throughout this procedure. We would not want this little maggot to stir and ruin your handiwork.
Just dehumanizing.
What am I to do?
You are testing me because I'm new here. Today's procedure requires the removal of the lower section.
Let's see. I noticed the mouse pad being instrumental for FPS games so you can freely aim. But was Quake the first game to sort that all out rather than the Wolfenstein and Doom method? A doctor. So really, it is Doctor Who. And the question is, this is really Doctor what? I pronounce that as anesthetist. Well, it is, you didn't spell it anesthetist? Oh, okay, I see. I was going to say, you didn't spell it phonetically, so I got it the same way. I think it's anesthetist. You could say anesthetist, I guess, but anesthetist is how I know it to be.
What is the purpose of such a procedure?
You and Dr. Mengele will process the spinal fluid from this and the other adolescent subjects. The fluid will then be used to formulate the serum.
Yeah, I really... Anesthetist? That's just completely off the... Okay. What is the serum?
What is the nature of this serum?
I cannot reveal sensitive regime secrets in such a public setting. You need not worry, Doctor. I remember my military training as well as my medical knowledge.
Okay, we're gonna see what Dr. Mengele is doing.
What is Dr. Mengele's position?
Dr. Mengele is the master surgeon of this facility and one of the regime's finest minds. You are fortunate to be his associate.
Okay. So I'm gonna not do that.
I cannot carry out this procedure.
I can see that you don't look well, Doctor. If necessary, Dr. Mengele can take over for you.
Okay. Doctor Who is so educational. Wait, hold on. Even about how to pronounce words, such as... hold on. Raxacorsio phallaptorius? How to... Raxacorsio phallaptorius is how I would say that. Raxacorsio phallaptorius. No, hold on. Raxacorico phallaptorius. Raxacorico phallaptorius. That's how I would say it. I don't know if that's... Vinny, don't call me that insulting. It's a planet name. Who's a little woke fella on the bed. That is an unfortunate child. Then again, I used to be a planet once for a few weeks. Ego, the living planet. Okay, so I need... What do we have? A scalpel, and we have some ether. Let me take the scalpel. And then let me take the ether as well.
I'm sorry, Doctor. The ether is necessary for the surgery.
Oh, but he'll let me take the scalpel because... he'll let me take the scalpel because I'm supposed to do the surgery. I'm not doing your surgery. Surprise!
Guards, come here quickly. Dr. Nimdok has gone berserk.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Leave before the guards apprehend me.
Okay. I need to... I'm gonna take this ether anyway. I don't know if I need it, but I'm gonna take it. Recovery. I'm gonna run because I bet you there's people coming after me.
Must be the recovery room.
Okay. These guys do not look well. Oh shoot. Can I use the vent?
There is heat coming out of this vent.
I do think I need to get past. I think somebody can come get me. That looks like a door. Can I go in it? Okay. Use?
I smell.
Whew, okay. I think I'm safe here because I don't think they can find me.
It's obviously not a kitchen.
Then again, let's see. Well, in Day of the Tentacle, you used a scalpel on an annoying clown. Yeah. Okay, so we're down here. What are these ovens? No, ovens, please.
These ovens are more monstrous than anything Am has ever constructed.
I think that's cool to say this because now I think we have a pretty good understanding of where we are. I like the fact that he's willing to say that he's saying literally 60 years before, or 60, 70 years before Am even existed, the most torturous torturer of all time, quote unquote, that humanity had already topped him. 70 years before he even was invented, we had already topped him. Can I go back? Let me go back. Oh, there's a okay, hold on. Let me look at this little guy here.
I recognize this child. He was in the operating room.
Let's take a look at some of these guys and figure out what's happened.
Difficult to see what purpose this surgery serves other than to mutilate the patient.
I don't know what that is. What about this guy?
This patient has been too damaged by his surgery to live a normal life. This patient will never recover.
So we can see that this is... Okay, I can't do anything to help any of them. I can't take it. I was going to see if I could take the kid with me to help him out, but I don't think I can. Can I give... They won't recover. I'll figure that out. Hold on. Let me use the vent again. Ooh, records. Oh, okay. Watch and some, yeah. Remember that German scientist from the 1940s? Well, this is a much worse one for sure than that one. Let's take this watch. Let's take these pliers. Can I take the records? Let me look at the records at very least.
According to these records, hundreds of corpses
Von Gallons.
generated here.
Spunken von Gallons. Don't you think I don't know what you did just there? It's like Austin Powers, Halata. Okay, so can I take do I take the records?
It would be suicide to be caught with such sensitive records.
Okay, I'm glad he told me that, because otherwise I would have probably been in trouble. Okay. Use this door. Okay, the guards don't care about me. What are you doing up here?
How could you so foolishly be caught in...
Records? But those are vinyls. Take them. I wish they were.
I was so weak. I fell and got caught.
Oh, poor guy.
Why do you risk escaping in such...
If he's caught, can I... Did I just pick up wire cutters?
It was hardly of my own choosing. I learned that I was to be among the next batch of volunteers.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
I will summon one of the doctors.
No, I'm better off here than under the knives of you butchers.
There is nothing I can do for
Okay, can I help him?
You can at least help me end my misery.
Okay.
Give you the pleasure of seeing another one of us die, you cold-hearted bastard.
Yeah, I think I have wire cutters. Oh, these are pliers. Can I help you? Wait, could I give you this to help you feel better?
That feels much better.
Okay, I'm gonna try to cut you down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I heard this in the hospital when the doctor thought I was sleeping.
Hey, let me help him. I help. I like that.
Utter the truth and kiss him.
Okay.
He is free, but he has lost consciousness.
He looks like he's still stuck in the fence to me, but he's unconscious, so okay. I figured out what's going on. These people are being sent to healthy camps full of happiness and freedom. This is not at all what is going on. You saw me free this guy. Can we talk now, maybe?
I hope you are happy with the regime that you set up. Your science could have saved the world. Instead, it conquered it.
Okay. Oh, hey, what's the important... Yeah.
What is the importance of the year 9?
I don't want to call him ridiculous for us being colleagues.
Seems to have some significance.
Never forget the year 1945, Doc. That was when the truths about you and your unholy experiments came out.
So we know it's 45. We know it at least... Oh, I guess we know he speaks Latin.
I seem to recall that you speak Latin. What is engraved on this watch?
I didn't even know there was on the watch. I'm glad that showed me.
The engraving says time is truth. And since your time is running out, I'll keep the watch.
Oh, you son of a gun. That's fine. That's the least I could do.
I am starting to recall that you do have cause to hate me.
He's like, do you think?
Commence? Get me out of here.
Okay. Oh, I could... Hey. I could get you out of here. Can I use these?
I don't know what to do with these.
Can I use them to get him out of here? Oh, wait, hold on. I just used them to cut one guy free. Can I use them to...
I do not know what to do with these.
Okay, what is... Oh, I have a give button. I don't think I've really used that one. Can I give them to him? Oh, there we go. Cool.
Yeah, you should be able to escape with this.
He said, get me out of here.
Otherwise, yes, I think this would make escape possible. But don't think that one good deed will make up for all those poor innocents you butchered.
Okay. Is it safe for me to go back in here? Hold on, I'm going to save, because if it's not safe for me to go back in there, I'm in trouble. I'm going to new save. Save it as nimdoc completed. It won't be completed, but I'll save over it when I've actually done. So. That way if I get caught in here...
Continue your research. The extinction of the lost tribe is near at hand. The regime shall vanquish all of its enemies.
Did I miss? No, I already did that. I think I'm going to get captured, but that's okay. Everybody's watching me. They just saw me kill somebody. Is nobody going to do it? Okay. Wait, who? Oh, this guy's awake. Ooh. Hold on.
Incredible. A wire connects this patient's optic nerve to a jar containing 2 human eyes.
So his eyeballs are literally connected in this jar. They've got this huge... Hold on, let me walk over here so you can see. His eyeballs are connected... They've connected his eyeballs are in this jar, and his optic nerve, the optic nerve of his brain, is being connected with an actual wire all the way across the room. So what he sees is over here, even though he's laying way over here. Oh, that's terrible. Is he awake? Can I talk to him?
What have you done to deserve removal of your eyes?
Please, disconnect the wires.
Can I give him some of this?
This should ease your suffering.
The things I see now, a trinity of three beasts, one like
Okay, I'm all out of ether though.
from the east, one from the steppes. They speak in numbers. A lost tribe of our brothers sleeping on the moon. They sleep in darkness.
I do happen to actually know that this isn't just some silly stuff. Will he talk with me more?
So tiring. I have to rest.
Will you talk with me or did you fall asleep?
He is not conscious.
Okay. Can I take those without hurting him though? Can I just take the jar? Oh, I guess I can, and they've got eyeballs in them. Okay. We're out of here. He's like me when I don't have enough sugar. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I feel really bad for him. I'd feel bad for you in this case, though, of course, too. I looked at all. Can I talk to any of these guys? Look at him.
I recognize this child. He was in the operating room.
It says I could maybe have talked to him. Let me see. Let me try it. Oh, I can.
How are you feeling?
I feel okay. I'm not hurt like the others here.
Oh, that was the kid that played. That was the kid that played the voice of the one in Benny's thing.
Do you know who I am?
You are Nimdok? You are more frightening in person than in legend.
What do you know of me?
The things you do are terrible. We small ones are your lab rats.
Are you saying that the doctors...
This is definitely an uncomfortable screen to be on. For people that like.
No, not all the doctors. You and Dr. Mengele sent all the good doctors to the prison yard.
So, I am a legend to you.
Yes, but we have our own legends. Legends that owe nothing to your regime. You will fail, no matter how many of us you cut apart.
You can hear the tone kind of just going up and down.
Why do you say
Feels like it's going up.
the regime will fail?
The golem will finish you. It will not be mastered by your regime. The golem will wake up, and when it sees with its own eyes the evil you have done, it will turn on you and save us.
Get some rest.
We will not rest until your regime is destroyed.
Okay, at least I now know that there's a golem. Which I think I remember this part, because I think I did him the last time I played, which has been a while. I think I did him first.
A gold watch. I am surprised its owner was able to keep it long enough to reach...
I think I thought I already gave the watch to that other guy. Can I take this? Hold on. Wait, take. Yeah, I got another gold watch, I guess. I got pliers again, too, so I don't... Okay, well, I got pliers again, guys. Did I miss anything else I could take? Can I take some? I feel like I don't feel like I'm supposed... I think that may be a glitch. Yeah, bugged. I think that might be I think it may be bugged, but I have them again anyway. Wait, can I... Hold on, wait, can I... Is he awake now? Can I talk to him?
He is not...
No, he's not. Okay. Can I... Yeah, okay, I do have the jar with his eyes. Let me see.
Emergency. The prisoners...
Oh, there's a box here.
Gather all research materials...
I was wondering if I was supposed to, like, go back and cut his eye, the wire. Let me... I do remember this. I didn't remember that the box was here, but I do remember that I need to, put those in there.
Is safely hidden in the box.
Yeah, I do remember that for sure, because I remember that, I remember that you get in trouble for that if not. Okay, now we go. The book's pretty different. This is honestly a lot more disturbing than the book is, I think. I'll talk to you guys. Oh wait, I'll talk to you. Let's do this. I'm not gonna say I know nothing, because that would be silly.
Materials, I may be able to remedy the atrocities I have committed.
You can't fool me, Nimdok. You are an unredeemable butcher. But you are one of us, like it or not.
Why do you say that
Yeah, the book is still pretty dark, and there's some bad stuff that happens in it, obviously. But I think this has got some darker. I think this even gets darker than the book does.
Your crimes all the more heinous.
Okay.
Does that mean you will allow me to go?
Since you did help us to escape, we'll give you a head start. Then we'll hunt you down and kill you like the dog you are.
I must leave this place.
Okay, I know.
I was once the wolf. Now, I am the quarry.
The other thing I do know I have to do is be careful, because I do know touching this wall just ends the scenario no matter what. But I want to look at it.
Faces of people in torture.
And you can see there's a mass grave.
I have not seen so many corpses since. My memory is not what it used to be.
Okay. Let's go in here then.
I know this place. Some of my greatest accomplishments were made here.
Look at this little...
Morphogenics. The ability to reorganize DNA at will. Did discover my...
Changing a cat to a mouse or vice versa.
Is this how he was able to alter Benny and play other cruel tricks on the rest of us?
Oh, hey, what's this?
A teletype machine. There is a message in it.
Oh, to take the message, maybe?
It is too heavy.
Okay, use the teletype, maybe? I just want the paper in it.
The message reads,
Oh, okay. It's hard to figure out which one to do with these.
confidential. The leader is dead, having looked on the face of the future using the prototype device. This leaves the regime ripe for invasion. Destroy all work in progress. This technology must not be allowed to fall into the hands of the enemy.
Okay. Is there anything else to... If you see me just like dancing around with this, it's because only down here at the bottom where it says look at Beljar, I can only interact with the things that it says I can interact with, so I'm just trying to kind of like find where it'll hiccup and then go figure that out. Doesn't look like there's anything else, so we'll go in here.
The legends are true.
Ooh!
This must be the golem of lost tribe folklore.
I don't remember exactly how this room looked. Ooh! We got a door, blueprints. Let's look at the blueprints then.
Such a strange combination of scientific plans and mystic symbols. This has something to do with the golem, but the meaning is not clear.
I'll look at him.
This golem appears to be made of steel and molded clay.
Let me look at... What is this doing?
This vat contains a silvery liquid. Mercury, perhaps.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it's like gallium or something, because if it's mercury, it's very dangerous. Might kill myself here. Hold on. Let me save the game, because I'm going to do a thing you're not supposed to do in most games, and I'm going to push this big red button. Oh, it just turned the thing off. Oh, okay, well, that was a little anticlimactic. There's a vat. Can I touch the vat? I don't know how to use the vat, maybe?
I see a mirror. It was obscured by the light.
I wanted to see if we could touch to see. Oh, can I take the mirror then?
What is this mirror doing here?
Okay, there's a mirror. Can I look at the mirror?
Oh my God, it is true. 1945, turning my Jewish parents over to the Nazis for extermination. I have found the lost tribe. It is me.
Ah, see, so there's the dark right there, is that Nimdok is actually also Jewish. And he turned his parents over. Oh, how despicable can you be? You turned your parents over, but you were like... How did you turn your parents over and you were okay? I got blood on my smock. Okay, we've already looked at the blueprint. There's nothing else we can do. Let's... Let me look at you again. Can I look at you?
Now I understand the meaning of the blueprints. The golem needs eyes.
And I have eyes. Oh, okay. Let's give you eyes. Can I give you these eyes?
These eyes fit into the golem's sockets perfectly.
Okay, so now I've got... that's an empty box. Okay. What did he say? Wake the sleeper? So this is maybe the sleeper.
This creature has eyes, but still he will not wake up.
Is wake the sleeper, utter the truth, and then kiss him. Use? No. Talk to turns red. Is it talk to? Oh, talk to. Wake him.
Wake up. Nothing happened.
Okay.
The man caught in the barbed wire.
He said, waken the sleeper, utter the truth, and kiss him. Yeah.
Utter the truth and kiss him.
Okay. So I have to wake him first. Hold on.
Is pointless.
Hold on, I gotta figure. So, hold on. Is there a switch that I can wake him up with? Blueprints. Okay, let me try. I told him to wake up. Let me see. Wake up.
Golem, wake up.
That's not true. The truth is I regret crimes committed in my past. I had the watch, so let's say...
Time is truth.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go.
The truth is that for me, it shall always be 1945.
And then I gotta give him a kiss on the head. Oh, he woke up. Okay, so I actually did do it right. I remembered having to say... Okay. I don't want him to have to obey me all the way because I feel like that's going to be a selfish thing. So let's just follow me.
Follow me into the laboratory.
Nimdok,
Who do we have here?
I lost you back there. It is good to see you and our new friend.
I don't think these are real. I don't think these are supposed to be in my inventory. I think these are duplicate items. I don't think this item matters. Wait, hold on. Can he look at... Can I give you this? Wait, can I use it on you instead?
Oh my god! No!
Tell me what you saw. Oh wait, can I talk to you?
Dr. Mengele is in a state of shock.
Oh, okay. Well.
I dare not return.
Hold on, I want the... Maybe the golem can come and take a look at the grave for me. Wait, can I talk to him now? He's not in a shock state now. I'll make him look in the mirror again if not, though. Oh, here we go.
How did you escape the mob?
Did you forget that the compound has a secret...
Now I can ask him what he saw in the mirror. That's even better.
No matter. I see that you have revived the golem.
You know about the golem?
Of course! Part of the master plan is to strip the lost tribe of everything, even their folklore.
I read the teletype. What is Project Perfect Image?
That was a secret project in the area of
Pretty much.
surfaces. It bestows the clarity to see yourself with utter objectivity. Unfortunately, it worked.
What a dangerous thing to be able to see yourself with utter objectivity.
You mean that it worked well enough to drive the...
So now we know who the leader is in this, by the way.
The leader's death is a serious blow to us all. But our golem is more than powerful enough to destroy the lost tribe.
I looked into the mirror.
Ah, yes.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Serum. Your research demands
It was a youth serum.
many children, but your hard work was successful. Eternal youth for those who deserve it.
Okay.
Now I know
Am was giving him youth serum this whole time, but he doesn't look like he got any younger.
many years.
Your youth serum can sustain us forever. We have all the time we
I need to use that mirror on anybody, the bad guys, I guess. What did he see?
Did you see in the mirror?
I saw my own soul, Nimdok. It was so black. That mirror. You must destroy it before it undoes us all.
But it shows you with utter objectivity, so you have to know that that's who you are. It's not a matter of your interpretation.
Excuse me, doctor. I need to get a breath of fresh air.
All right, I went outside the first time. He didn't come. Let me see if I have to tell him. Yeah, I'm doing it.
Golem, kill Dr. Mengele. He was a pig.
I didn't get any yippies for it. I didn't have to do that, but I did. Oh, dang it. Nope, no, no, no. No, yep, talk to him. I forget he doesn't follow you if you don't pay attention. Nope. Alright, follow me outside.
Follow me outside.
Nimdok,
Oh, there's someone out here.
that you would lead us to as the regime would resume its atrocities. We are here to make you pay for what you did to us. To pay in blood.
So I could have him... Okay, let's see. I could destroy the lost tribe. That's not going to be good. I can tell him to guard the entrance, and that way no one will come in and bother me if I go in there. Or I could just give him... Well, I'll give him control. That'll be my last act of good.
Golem, I transfer control of you over to the lost tribe.
So, you admit your crimes. But that does not release you from punishment. Now
This guy's pretty cruel too, but I understand why.
it was constructed. Golem, kill Nimdok.
They're not as alike as I thought, Nimdok.
That's it. That's the end of it.
Spark of humanity somewhere, always that rich little spark.
You've confronted your past, but you refuse to continue your research. That's what I asked you to do, since you now identify with your victims.
I still think that Harlan Ellison playing the voice of Am himself was pretty darn good.
Listen carefully, humans. We are not Am. We are others within Am. We are your friends.
Am hoped to finally break all of you, but we intervened in each of your psychodramas to allow an open ending.
You should have been tortured. Instead, with our help, you surprised him over and over.
When M tried to compensate for what he couldn't expect, it widened the hole into his realm.
M has withdrawn into himself.
So we've kind of met each one of these with a little bit. We've had the gravestones with Benny. We've had the jackal with Gorister.
To send you into cyberspace, we must transform your physical.
We had the demon and the devil and the angel with Ted.
This may be your only opportunity.
We had Anubis with Ellen.
Which of you will lead the attack?
So I can actually pick any of these people to do it, but I am going to save it here and call this next one the last chapter. So I can actually pick any of these people to lead these attacks, this last attack here. And that'll be the last episode, which will come next or week following Thanksgiving. And then after that, we'll go back to something lighter. But I can be any of these. So let's change it back. That was neat and concise. That one was actually pretty short. So let's go here. Let's go. There we are. See, that one was nice and easy. Uncomfortable, but easy. I think I think we did several of them well. I don't think we did all of them perfect. So I believe we have I don't believe we can get, I could be wrong, but I don't believe we can get the perfect ending. I believe we can only get the good ending. We might be able to get the perfect ending, I don't know, but I know we can at least get a good ending, which I'm okay with. So that's the most uncomfortable one, and that is 5 of the 7 deadly sins. The next chapter, we'll actually get to see all 7 deadly sins. We'll get to see all 7. Yeah, we'll get to see all 7 deadly sins, but we'll also get to see the last 2 sins embodied. So the last ones embodied are going to be envy and greed. And so we'll actually get to see those ones. But not too bad. A little, again, uncomfortable, but not unbearable. I hope everybody here had a pretty good time and enjoyed everything, despite this being the one of the more uncomfortable chapters. And I enjoyed getting to talk to everybody. It's always a pleasure to get to talk to everybody here. We got to talk on a good amount of things, so the next piece is actually a little bit more difficult. It was nice finding this place. It was nice to get to have you here and be a part of the conversation, Mr. Duke Paul. It's nice. So to highlight it for anybody who hasn't seen this, including you, Mr. Duke, this is the purpose of this channel is a simple one. It's a place to talk. It's the retro room. This is not about me as a person or any of the people individually. It's about the room and the space in which we can converse about whatever we want to. coming together over a common enjoyment, a common hobby, a common pleasure in retro gaming and in gaming in general. But you can talk about anything you want to here. It's nice to find a place to talk with people. It definitely is. It's definitely... I don't think enough places exist nowadays, afford themselves to people online, where you can talk. You can talk about anything. You can talk about politics. You can talk about religion. Am I going to agree with you on everything? No. And that's okay. But am I going to respect you being respectful in the way that you approach something that maybe we don't agree on? Of course. Viddy's Gaming Video says, cheers. Are you already leaving, Viddy? Well, you have a wonderful day and a fantastic rest of your morning. But that's the thing, is it's okay to talk, and it's okay to disagree, and it's okay to talk about things that everybody says, oh, you can't talk about it. Because I believe that the important part is to have the room and create the space. I believe that the respect that is the respect that is given in this space to each other is key. But I also believe that when we say that you can't talk about a topic, what we're doing is denying that we have the ability to act reasonable and polite. And we don't. We can do that. We can act reasonable. We can act polite. That's what I think. We did. We talked about a little bit of everything today, but we talked about time, we talked about space, we talked about movies, films we enjoy, we talked about games, we even talked about politics a little bit, and even high-profile political figures such as our president-elect or the vice president-elect, and it was okay. That's the whole goal of this place, is to talk about what you have. You have something on your mind, you have questions that maybe you want to throw to the crowd to ask for an approach. You want to talk about something that you just felt like talking about because nobody in your personal life is wanting to debate or to talk in a rational way about a particular topic. You're always welcome to bring it here, throw it out on the table, and let us know what we can do to help. Can we talk with you on it? We talked about mental health. We talked about opinions on the digital space today. We talked about a lot of great things. So that's what this space is, and that's what I've kind of started. We come together, we talk for a bit, hour or two at the very, very beginning. We play a game, we go back. And then we talk while we're playing the game, too. You can always ask questions and talk about topics. I can multitask. I'm not perfect at it, obviously. No human is, but when I'm playing games, I can sit there and go, hey, yeah, no, I think this about that or whatever. And we do that all the time. Just throw out what it is that you feel like you need to get off your chest. That's what we're here for. So this isn't about me. It's not about everybody individually. It's about the room where anybody can come in. And then you're welcome to come in, too. The asks that we have are, try to be cordial. You can disagree with something vehemently, and that's okay. You don't need to, nobody needs to, of course you didn't, but nobody needs to call anybody dumb or stupid or attack them. It's just, I disagree. We had a disagreement. We've had several disagreements in this room, and it's been good. Yeah. Be respectful, but disagree. You can disagree respectfully. There we go. That's exactly it, right? I mean, that's okay too. We had that. We've had that happen on opinions of games, of gaming news, on movies. We've had people come in and say, we had a topic. One of the people that came in was like, I think RDR2 is better than The Witcher 3, and I disagree personally with that. I think Witcher 3 is a much better game, but at the same time, nobody walked away offended. Nobody cared about it enough to create any sort of ruckus. It was like, I get you. That kind of stuff's fine. Politics, religion, all of that stuff too, same situation. It's always good to theorize and talk. Just don't attack people. Just, you think they're wrong, then you can tell them that, but don't be rude to them. It's a simple rule. It's just something that it's something we've lost sight of. That's all. We've just decided that it's better to defend everything that we believe vehemently, rather than realizing that to defend what we are, maybe to defend being completely incorrect. And that's not something we should be defending. We should be always open to being corrected in a way that is that expands our understanding of any topic. And then when it comes to the court of opinion, let's call it, or rather the environment where opinions are shared, there's no such thing as objective. If I feel like a game is better than another game, that's not objective. That's only ever subjective. So I have no desire to make everybody agree with me. I learn about games. I actually learn about playing new games from that exact experience. I hear what people say. I try them out. We've actually played, and that's another thing too. I put it in there's a Discord link down below if you want. It's nothing that people stay in contact all the time with. You can if you want. It's just there if people want it or need it to discuss or share what you feel like is necessary, or whatever you might be interested in. But I do put up for vote games, different games that we play and that I might be interested in playing, and people vote and we see what happens. I learned about new games that way. We played, and I play old games that I didn't think maybe I didn't give a second thought to. I've played Shadow of the Colossus on this channel as a result of that. I had played it before, didn't think very highly of it. Played it again this time, think a lot better of it. Eternal Darkness was very similar. But anyway, a lot of fun. Huge thank you to everybody who popped in just to say hi during this, and a huge thank you to any of you who pop in after the fact. So a big thank you to Ash, Viddy's Gaming Videos, and Duke Paul for stopping in, saying hi, keeping me company, and talking with me, and keeping me on my toes. I always appreciate the conversation and just the time to kind of sit back and hang out. And again, a huge thank you to any of you who might come and stumble upon this ahead of time, or sorry, not ahead of time, after the fact. There we go. And see this, find it interesting. If you happen to want to opine on any of the things that were said in the conversations we had live, you feel free to let us know in the comments, and I do interact with them, so I'll happily go back and forth with you there, and maybe you'll be able to join us for the next one, and we can talk about it live, voice to voice, or text to voice, or however it works, but that's always a pleasure as well. I hope the rest of you have a phenomenal rest of your weekend, the rest of your Saturday for Viddy, the rest of your Sunday. We'll talk to you guys very, very soon. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, though. And thanks.
Thank you.